Hey everybody, welcome to another episode. I am Michael Petrow, and on the show this week you've got Mark, Cowell, Rob, Strachan, and myself delivering you a real talk. We review what we watched this week. Mark and me went to go see Wakanda Forever. Mark took a bunch of us out. How sweet is he? And we all went to go see Wakanda Forever premiere night. It is a lot of things. It was a lot of fun. So we do have a spoiler-filled review of it. So if you want to skip past that, go right ahead. And then Rob, talks about The Peripheral, the new show from the Westworld producers on Amazon Prime. And Daniel Spellbound, too, on Netflix. Him and Lucy are watching that. He gives you the Lucy and Rob report if you've heard it before on the show. And then we reviewed directors who had a real big hit and then kind of fell flat after. Like, they don't have that certain je ne sais quoi that brought you into the first film by them. Maybe not. Well, yeah, it's the first film they made. That was the list. And then we move on to parent and child combinations on screen. I'll give you an example why Dan and Eugene Levy are so fucking awesome. Moving into, we recorded on Remembrance Day, so we felt it would only be right to remember through the films that we've watched and why we don't like war and why war sucks. Because though there's a bunch of people who fought for us through a few of those wars, specifically some of the movies we reviewed are about those wars. And we only know how to do it one way. So we take a minute to remember all of those who fought for us to be able to do our dumb shit here. Yes, I'm sure they had us in mind. And we take a minute to remember Kevin Conroy, the voice of the animated Batman. Passed away last week, and that's how we close out the show. So that's who's on the show. That's what's on the show. Stay tuned for another live event sometime in December. Jimmy and me are planning. We're trying to figure out a date. It will be a live debate. It will be a Christmas-themed. I don't want to say too much yet because we're still working on it, so I could lead you astray. So that's coming. Follow us on all the social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Real Debaters Pod will get you to all of those. REEL for all the spelling. If this is your first time, thank you so much for taking a chance on us. It means a lot. If you want to learn how to support the Debaterverse, you can stick around at the end of the show. There's like a end credit trailer from like a certain universe that uses them all the time. We thought it would be fun to be cheeky and do one here. So I'm telling you about all the things that you can do to support the show because we are self-funded. So if you feel so inclined, that's where that is. I'm not going to talk about it anymore here because I don't want to waste any more of your time. I don't think I'm missing anything. So yeah. Oh no merch stand again. I mean, I've said this. I've had this conversation with you, the listener, too many times. We're figuring out a Canadian merch stand for Canada because Canada loves us a lot. Not that nobody else does, but we're figuring out a Canadian one for you so that Canadian people can enjoy cheaper shipping and handling because the other iterations of the merch stand were too fucking expensive and a learning curve. So yeah, anything? I don't think I got anything else. Yeah, you've probably skipped. If you haven't, thanks. But if you have, I understand. I give you Mark, I give you Rob, I give you me. World War II movies, parent-child combinations on screen, directors who fell flat. I will cue that reel, and you enjoy the show.
Let's tidy up this tangle of film by putting it on a reel. Here is a motion picture film, 1,000 feet, 16,000 separate photographs.
Welcome, everybody, to the official space section of the charter.
What's the truth? You can't handle the truth.
Sir, you're out of order. Out of order. I show you out of order.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Real Debate. Holy shit, I like that. Welcome back to the Real Debaters podcast. Welcome back to the show. Welcome to the place that asks that.
We literally
question.
tested the mics before we started.
I tested yours. I didn't test mine. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Michael Petrow.
I'm Rob Strachan.
Mark Cowell over here.
And it's been a minute. I think the last episode we did was like 2 weeks before Comic-Con. So it's been a nice little break.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I haven't even walked into this room in the last 3 weeks. I've been doing everything from the lovely new couch we bought upstairs.
Oh, yes.
This fucking 12-seater boat that we...
The spacious sectional.
Yeah, man, that thing's cozy to watch
That's the
movies
orgy
on.
boat.
It really, you know what? It's one step shy
The living
of...
room orgy boat.
It's.
Yeah, what a party island. You can buy those inflatable party islands.
I was going to say, it's one of those things you see at like West Hawk.
Yeah.
You know, where there's like 42 people like just drinking and lying all over each other. Except here
You can probably buy like a cooler attachment for
Or
it.
in an orgy porn.
Or West Hawk or an orgy porn. I'm sure there's...
It'd be like German orgy porn. Like, it's got to have a Euro twist. A lot of techno, a lot of leather.
Black leather.
I love where you're taking this already. This is very sprockets of you.
Very sprockets, yeah.
Oh, shit. So yeah, it's been a minute, and I don't. There's just no point in beating around the bush and not getting into fake life. So let's play that lovely theme music that we have. And Mark, we'll start with you. And I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to talk about, and I want to talk about it too. So we might as well just admit it to each other. Are we going to talk about Wakanda Forever?
We have to at least discuss it briefly.
It must be. So you go first. We went and saw this last night to set up the whole situation for you. Mark took
I am
all of us
totally
out.
okay with spoilers.
You
Don't-
are?
don't-
Okay, great.
Don't
Okay.
care.
I love that even more because now we can really pull the yarn on it.
And I
So
feel like this is airing
But don't
after
ruin it for me.
the 2-week spoiler period anyways.
I consider the spoiler period the first 5 days after the film is aired. So
No.
that
Okay.
weekend, no?
No.
You guys go longer?
No. As a person who has a job that I have to work a lot and I have a kid, that's fucking bullshit.
Okay, so
At work, we always gave, like for TV shows, Game of Thrones, we always gave till the next episode.
That's
You
fair.
weren't allowed to like double up on episodes.
enough.
You
Okay.
had to watch it before the next episode.
What
So-
about on a binging show, like a Netflix show where they release the entire show at once?
Oh, yeah, like right off the bat,
Week?
like the first
2 weeks?
Yeah.
2 weeks?
2 weeks is about the max.
Yeah.
And past that, like it's just I'm not responsible for
now,
you
what about a
not-
movie that is released in the theater, though?
I honestly think the spoilers can only last a couple weeks. If you care enough
Yeah.
to have something spoiled for you, you should be able to get to it in the first couple weeks of it being out. But when it's like been out for 2 months and you're like, don't tell me, I'm like, shut up.
Yeah, no. That's your fault.
What if
That's
you
my
have
point.
incurable gonorrhea and you were
You
stuck in the
should-
hospital?
Then someone should
Stream
bring you
it.
a fucking computer that you can watch anything on. That's not an excuse. Come on, something
That's not-
better.
If you care enough about the movie to not have it spoiled. If you
I-
don't care, then you watch it anytime.
If I had gonorrhea, I'd
The
go
right
share
answer
it.
would have been if you cared enough for it not to be spoiled, you would have put on a rubber.
That's
You
true.
would have thought about this long term.
An ounce of prevention.
Well, either way, ladies and gentlemen, spoiler
It's
alert.
worth a lot of-
Abstinence is
lot
the
of-
best protection.
That was right out of the video.
We're gonna talk about Wakanda Forever and good sex life. So yeah, Mark, go first. Like, what was first impression? Let's go.
First impressions, very good movie, beautiful cinematically, I would say. We talked about this yesterday. Lots of great, like, expansive shots.
Yes.
directed it?
Underwater.
Ryan Coogler.
Ryan Coogler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Follow up.
And just like it was the score and the soundtrack I found very moving. Like it's very fitting. They used
The needle drops were very well
they
placed.
used silence really well in some parts of the movie.
They did.
It's kind of the less is more philosophy. Some of the tracks that we're playing, like some of the songs and some of the areas, like not familiar to me, not even English lyrics,
Yeah.
but very like fitting for the scenes.
I couldn't agree more. I was swept away. I forgot I was in landmark theaters.
As far as those that have been shitting on the Marvel franchises for a while because like Thor: Love and Thunder was too goofy or She-Hulk or whatever, this is getting back to like the drama of the superhero universe. Real tension, real clashing, real death, sadness.
Tradition versus technology, I noticed, was a huge theme. right?
Yes.
Like Shiri being, very forward thinking, and Chadwick being very traditional, losing a brother, and then being left with it all. Like that was a very fun theme.
And
to watch.
lots of undertones of like the colonizers that ruined so many civilizations.
Yes.
And, because now we all know the Wakandan stories somewhat, but now it's going even further into the story of like the Mayans and like
Yeah.
they turned Atlantis into like the Mayan civilization retreated into the water, which was really cool. I think it was a great
I thought the switch from Atlantis to
Tulakan.
Tulakan. It's Tulakan and Kulakan. That's that's Namor's like given name. We refer to him as Namor, but
Sweet, Namor's in it.
Yeah, Namor's very much in it.
Submariner greater than Aquaman?
Way better. Way more powerful.
You mean what M'Baku refers to him? He says, people
the
do not call him king. They call him Kukulkan, the winged serpent god.
Is the guy that plays Namor better than Jason Momoa?
Okay. There's very...
He's good.
He's so
Tinoch
good.
Huerta does a great job.
I was so blown away by the performances of Shiri, of
Yes.
Namor, and of Queen
Tinoch, is that
Ramada.
Mexican name?
Yeah, Mayan Mexican culture is
okay.
just littered throughout the entire film.
Okay, cool, sweet.
And
Yeah.
they really
And
like,
they speak like the mother tongue of the Mayan
language.
in the movie that's subtitled. So huge
Oh,
chunks of
okay.
the movie are subtitled.
So like the indigenous language
Yes.
to that area.
So they
like
subtitle it-
Guatemala, that part of like
100%.
Mexico and stuff. Yeah.
So they'll speak English, and then they break into Spanish, which is white subtitles. Mayan, whatever the Mayan tongue is, blue subtitles.
Yeah.
And then Wakandan in yellow. So they actually they differentiate all the different languages, and there's certain. Like there's times where they're speaking Wakandan to each other, and it's really important to the story that they're speaking a language that the other people don't understand. And then she turns to somebody else and then speaks in his mother tongue, and he's like, "Oh."
So it's a visual cue to allow you
It's a
to
visual cue,
differentiate
yes.
between the different dialects.
And
or
they
languages
don't just
spoken.
not just for the audience, but it actually becomes part of the plot points. Like somebody's holding you, and I say to you in a different language, "Move your left arm," like because I'm gonna shoot. But I can speak to you, and the person doesn't know what I'm saying. But at the same time, that person who doesn't understand me, I can turn to them, speak their mother tongue, and they're disarmed by the fact that I know what they're saying. And there was a couple times like that were pretty
That's
cool like that.
That's cool.
Because he takes it back. He's like, "You speak the mother
Is
tongue?"
T'Challa in it?
Great question. The opening sequence, like for a lot of people, spoiler alert here, the funeral is honored in
Chadwick Boseman died. Spoiler alert.
yes, spoiler alert for you who've been under a rock.
What?
They honor his death beautifully.
Okay.
Did
Did they have some CGI sequences with him and
Just
like a short one?
They
like
clip-
flashback stuff.
Yeah, they
Okay.
clip roll him, but
Yeah.
they do not. They didn't Winston Zedmore him. They didn't bring him back in a holographic form or.
'Kay.
There's a lot of things that I really wanted in that way that I didn't get, and that's fine because it didn't ruin it for me. But the funeral sequence, which is right to it, like I ran to go get a drink, thinking I was like, okay, I'll miss the credits or I'll miss Wakanda Forever. Fuck it, I'll miss the credits.
There's
come
no
back,
opening. It cold breaks into the funeral. Like I didn't even know
So
it
you
was a
missed it?
movie. It was crazy.
I missed 30 seconds, so Mark's like, you missed 30 seconds. I was like, I missed it, but I caught enough. The point is that there is no time
Shame
wasted.
on you, good
Yeah,
sir.
I know.
It basically cold breaks into him dying.
Yeah,
While Shuri's trying to save him in her
You
life.
call yourself a movie fan?
and I'm a thirsty movie fan. So like, but what I noticed, and I was trying to explain last night, is that the reality of Boseman's death is played out on screen between
T'Challa's death.
T'Challa's death, but they take that death and they grieve together on screen in film. But it feels like it was their true reactions to when they found out that he died. Like it really was.
You can see the characters grieving Chadwick when in the movie they're grieving T'Challa. You can almost see that, like the real difference, which is pretty cool.
And then they, the Marvel Studio Universe intro, right, where they show everybody, and they do all the role. So they they play a song for Chadwick, and it's all purple, and it's all Black Panther scenes that open the film.
Cool.
And then right into the story. So like I was like, well, this is a 2 hour and 40 minute
you
movie.
guys have ruined the movie for me now.
You
kidding.
said no
I'm just
I'm
spoilers.
kidding. I'm kidding.
But the fight sequences were very violent. I don't think I've experienced something this dark when it comes to the fight sequences before.
Good fight sequences.
Great fight sequences, great oceanic views, great like James Cameron, suck a dick. You can't do underwater like Marvel can now. Like, I'm sorry, Avatar.
What? Are you shitting on the Abyss?
I'm talking about what we can do today. I don't think Avatar is going to hold up anywhere. These underwater scenes, they use killer whales as catapults at one point. Like the thing is flying,
Okay, don't
swimming
tell me
upside
more. Don't
down.
tell me anymore. Don't tell me anymore.
And there's a bunch of there's a bunch of Mayans on the back, and they get launched onto the Wakandan ship in the middle of the ocean.
It was
Like,
pretty cool.
That's cool.
What I really like too is, or not liked, but that kind of added to the the action and the fights and the seriousness, is that I don't remember like people fighting and killing each other very much in Marvel movies.
no, I
right?
didn't either.
Like in Age of Ultron, they're killing the T'Chari and things like that, but they're like aliens or robots or like like in all those movies, Avengers. But this is actually like groups of people, and people die. And that's not very un-Marvel like in a lot
Were
of
they all
ways.
wearing red shirts?
Yes. There was Security Officer Stevenson. There was
Yes. All of a sudden-
Crewman Davis.
Yeah.
And Mr. McDonald.
Yeah.
Private McDonald.
Yes.
Wakandans now can wield lightsabers.
Yeah. But there was really like there's people dying and stabbing each other
Yeah.
and cutting each other's throats, and I'm like, oh, like this
Can
is
I tell
pretty
you
serious.
why? Because The Boys is so popular
Yeah, maybe.
that they're just
They may have
realizing
had
that you
to.
need to
Yeah.
add a little bit more of that kind of bent.
Well, they do this wonderful job, and Mark had called it when we were all theorizing after the Marvel did their big Marvel Day and the D23 stuff. Like, you had said that you thought it's on recording. You'd said that you thought that somebody would be pitting Wakanda against Talokan, and really, it's humanity's depravity and our desire to make weapons and drill the planet and do all the things that we do to it. They really incorporate that into the film, and Wakanda is against society for one thing, and Talokan is against society for another thing, and they actually meet in the middle on that, but then fight on that as well
Is
too.
Wakanda anti-drilling in the earth?
Wakanda wants to
Even
share
though
the,
all their wealth is based on extracting minerals from a meteor that crashed in their land?
yes, very much. Okay, all right. When you put it in that way, sure, that's fine. Point, Rob. But what they
But
do,
like in a sacred way though.
yeah,
I get it.
and you find out that vibranium isn't just
Like, don't build a house on a burial ground because you'll get poltergeists.
Yes,
like that kind of shit.
Yeah, right. But you find out that vibranium is not only indigenous to Wakanda, and that's part of the story as well too, which is very interesting because it changes like Wakanda.
Is it indigenous to them or just happened to crash there?
Well, if a meteor crashes on Earth, do you think it crashes in just one spot? Probably not, right?
That
Like, it
one
breaks up-
particular meteorite would.
But it
but
breaks up into pieces. And
Not
maybe,
always.
Well, but I mean, everything we know about meteors landing inside our orbit, they usually break up into
Well,
a couple different
meteors.
pieces. One
is-
meteor breaks up
a
into
meteor
multiple
is,
meteorites.
A meteor is the term of something floating through space. A meteorite is something that's coming, or a meteoroid is coming in through the atmosphere. A meteorite is
I really loved Metroid as a kid.
Well, obviously, you didn't pay attention to the proper vernacular.
Anyways,
Anyway, go on.
in
You're like, fuck you, Rob.
at the end of Black Panther 1,
Yeah.
Mark had pointed this out because he did a quick rewatch before we watched it, and she's approaching the UN about sharing their technology with the world.
Yeah.
Fast forward to Wakanda, Black Panther Forever. In this one, she's now having to defend vibranium because the Americans and the Europeans are sending in shock troops to try to steal vibranium from Wakanda. And she pulls this great badass sequence where she yells at the United Nations for saying one thing and doing another. And while she's narrating this, they're showing that the night before a French special teams unit tried to go in and steal vibranium.
And that's
And
almost
then-
kind of alluding to colonialism, right?
Yeah,
Like,
very much
yeah,
so.
yeah,
100%.
100%. They even Martin, what's his face? Bilbo's character, the actor. What the fuck? The English guy.
Freeman?
Ross?
Martin Freeman, thank you.
Yeah.
They keep calling him colonizer throughout the entire film.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
humor is fantastic in it. Like Riri Williams, when she walks on set, it just changes to this fun, really cool, hip film that takes away from the tradition. But she wants to be involved in Wakanda tradition. It was I think the only complaint we had was it was 30 minutes too long. That really was.
I didn't agree with that.
You thought? Well, okay.
How long is the movie? 2.5?
2 hours and 41 minutes.
That's fine.
Yeah, but there are points where
That's Christopher Nolan long. That's the way I like my movies.
I
There's
know,
the line that I got just to take it back there to
Is that just because you can't hold the potty that long?
I actually had to fucking.
What does she say at the United Nations? She says something about one of the nations turns to her and says, people with access to the resources that you have could have the propensity for violence or something like that.
It's undetectable by metal detectors.
And she said,
whatever,
she said to somebody else, turns to them and says, well, we protected it and didn't share it because of your propensity for violence.
not
like,
ours.
Yeah, it's not the substance that's going to cause people to be violent. It's violent people shouldn't have the substance.
That whole United Nations opening sequence is fantastic because it sets the tone for where they are.
It's kind of like the
politically.
pro-gun argument. It's not guns that kill people. It's people.
kind of
that,
is. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not vibranium that kills people. It's people that use vibranium to kill people.
It's the CIA that kills people.
yeah.
Well, you don't think Captain America's killed a whole bunch of people with his vibranium shield?
Yeah, well, I mean, for the better.
Motherfucker's fucking savage.
So the undertones of the movie are there's class issues, colonization, natural resources and pillaging the earth.
Globalization.
And there's all these really kind of
inequity,
serious
tradition versus
tradition versus technology.
So my question is, how many vibranium ingots
Out of 10?
out of 10 do each of you?
How
give
many
this one?
heart-shaped flowers
How many?
out of 10?
How many Riris?
I don't
She's
get.
so much fun.
I don't
How
get
many
it.
iron hearts?
How many? How many Dormelage? Oh my God! They gave the Dormelage a new outfit too, and it's like it puts them on a level playing field. Because what you find out is that
Who are the Dormelage again?
they're
They're like the Imperial
Kingsguard
Guard of
kind of thing.
Wakanda.
Oh, okay.
All the women with the
They're like the Red Imperial Star
yeah,
Wars.
they just kick
yes,
ass
very
all the
much so.
time.
Whatever
Yeah.
you need to compare it to.
Basically, it's the Imperial Guard.
Isn't that the best only comparison?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the right one.
That's the analog to use for all comparisons.
I'm gonna give.
They're much more mobile than the Star Wars Imperial.
Well, they're kind of like alluding to like the British guards with the giant fucking hats.
Oh, the fezzes, yeah.
Yeah.
The stupid. The ones that yell at you if you get too close, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the ones that you can like poke and then they hit you.
Yeah.
When no one's looking.
Like seriously hit you.
Yeah. Fuck you, kid.
Okay, ingots, vibranium ingots. I give it 8.5 ingots out of 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is one of the better. Like I've enjoyed
Better
all
than
of
the
them.
sequel?
Should I say-
Equal or not as good?
Oh,
I think better than the
Answer
first.
I
your
think
que-
better than the first.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think as far as like movies, I've enjoyed this series and things like that. This is the best Marvel movie for sure since Infinity War.
This is
Endgame.
the best of
Since
phase
Endgame.
4. This phase 4 and 5.
Probably
we're
the
in.
best thing
Yeah.
in Endgame. That's the most Marvel-like since Endgame.
$250 million budget too. We found that out last night. So it got the
So
same.
it's like it's a big movie.
Yeah.
There's big budget, beautiful scenes, locations,
Cool.
great shots. Yeah, it's a good movie that you should go see in the theater.
You really should. And you give it 8.5 too? Ingots?
I'd probably 9.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he went and bought because
It's top 5 Marvel movies for me, probably for sure.
there's a great mid-credit trailer that as soon as it ended, he
Better
was
than
on.
the first Iron Man?
What's that?
Well, no, I
Better
mean,
than the first Iron Man?
Well, first Iron Man was pretty good. I haven't watched it in a while, but
he was
It-
buying
it
comic
holds
books.
up.
He
It
was
holds up.
he was
It's
buying
good.
comic books in the theater after the mid-credit ended because he was like, "Oh shit, that's gonna put something up in value." Like he didn't even
couple-
stop. We were
couple
just
little-
yeah. Oh yeah.
little things.
He's like, let me check. Chris is like, I'm going to piss, and I just sat there with him waiting for an end
So
credit
there's
trailer.
mid-credit so you can go take a piss?
Well, I mean, I can
no,
get back and
it's
forth.
in the
but
middle of the credits. There's a
Oh, that's what
there's
you're
no post-credit scene.
No
Okay,
post credit,
okay.
just a mid credit.
saying. Okay.
So if you're going to see it and you haven't seen it yet,
Don't wait till the fucking end.
You can leave after the mid-credit scene if you would like.
Yes, that's the one thing.
The only thing you miss at the end is it, just in white text across the black screen says Black Panther will return. So that does mean that there's something else happening.
Yeah, that mid credit scene really gives ties a nice
Phase
bow on it.
6.
Well,
Phase 8.
Phase 17.
you know what they did that
2043.
I think they took the end credit where M'Baku's like, I challenge, right? Because we know from the first one that if you want to be Black Panther, you have to challenge the reigning Black Panther. Very Rocky. And so he shows up and
Ryan Coogler also directed Creed.
Creed. Yeah.
Ryan
yeah.
Coogler's at Creed.
Yeah.
Coogler, sorry. I butchered that.
There might be a Michael B. Jordan drive by in this too, but I don't want to confirm because there's a lot to drive you to the theater to see this. So
I like Michael B. Jordan.
I do too.
Yeah.
I definitely
Yeah.
like them. So yeah, that's. I mean, I got other.
I like
stuff,
that he
but-
transitioned from a child actor to an adult actor very
What did
well.
he? Yeah, he did The Wire, right? That's where he got his. That's
He
where
was
I
in The
remember him
Wire.
from.
I think he did some Disney stuff too.
Really?
I think so, but don't quote me on that.
He's a very good actor.
He is. He's really good. He's
Like,
fucking jacked too.
He's huge, man.
jacked. He's jacked.
Him and what's his face who's playing Kang, Jonathan Majors.
Jonathan Majors is jacked right now.
It's stupid how big these two are for Creed 3. It's ridiculous. Like,
Well, when you've got a nutritionist, 3 personal trainers, and roids, of course you're good to go.
Your job is just to get
Your job is to get jacked as fuck.
yeah, no, totally, I get it. Do you have anything else before we throw it?
You're
to
not
you?
allowed to talk about anything
Okay,
else.
all
You
right.
guys
Fair
like, fuck you guys.
Oh,
hash
the
that
only thing
shit
I was
out.
going to say that I watched
Yeah.
separately, and it'll just quickly braze by because I'll mention it later on, was on Disney Plus. I've been watching the second season of Reservation Dogs.
Oh, it is really good, I've heard.
Yeah, I like it a lot, and we'll talk. Taika Waititi directed.
I know what you're
So
gonna bring it
we'll
up for.
talk about
Okay.
Taika Waititi
Yeah.
later on our next question, but I just wanted to mention I'm watching that and I'm really enjoying it.
Sure.
Sweet.
All right, Rob, floor's yours. We'll just listen.
All right, I've got 2 shows that I've been watching this week.
Drive the boat, buddy.
So first, we'll talk about the show I'm watching with my kid.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we need.
We
the
always
Lu-
like Lucy's picks.
We need the
Okay.
Lucy report.
Okay, so there's a new show on Netflix, and it's called Daniel Spellbound.
Okay.
It's fucking awesome. Okay, so it's like in a near future alternative world where there's like like the regular world, and then there's like a below the scenes magic world, and there's like an institution that kind of controls it, and then there's vying other groups that are trying to control the magic world. And there's this
Sounds very expanse.
this kid, and he's like a tracker, and he tracks down different magical items and sells them. And then some of these items are illegal, and you're not allowed to trade them because there's certain types of magic you're not allowed to use and stuff. It show is fucking awesome.
Live action or animated?
Animated. It has a talking pig in it. It's fucking dope as fuck.
Peppa the Pig's distant
fight
cousin?
scenes are so good in it.
The way you describe it,
And-
I can tell you're into it.
I'm kidding. It's fucking good. Like I remember Lucy at one point was just like, "Dad, I'm just not into this right now. Let's watch Paw Patrol." I was like, "Listen, we are fucking finishing this episode because I need to know
Shut
what's
up,
gonna
child.
happen." And then the other day she was like, "Dad, I want to watch the show." I was like, "I don't have time to watch that show right now, so you're not allowed to watch it."
Wow.
So I think I'm on episode 7 of 10 or 8 of 10.
Do you tell her to shut up when you're watching
No,
it too?
that's what I'm saying in my
That's
head.
Child.
awesome, though.
Yeah. But it's awesome. Check it out. So even if
What's the
you're
name again?
Daniel Spellbound.
Daniel Spellbound.
It's good.
Is it based off of like anything, or
Fuck,
is it?
I don't know. It's fucking good.
All right, Daniel Spellbound.
It's
it is. Lucy, what do you think Lucy gives it out of 10?
I'd say she probably gives it a solid 8.
Yeah, and you're 10.
I liked it a lot. I'm for that style of show. I liked it. I'd say 9 out of 10.
I'm very impressed that you take a genuine effort to try to get into the shit that you watch with your child. Where
I don't get into most of it, but this show I like.
but every time you guys mention stuff, like you watched The Last Unicorn together, like
I
that's
shouldn't be rubbing my eyes.
that. That's fine. Do you want to go wash your hands?
Okay, let's just pause it.
Dewey. Well, I mean, I've marked it. So, ladies and gentlemen, just so you're aware, Rob has had a morning. Lucy found herself some pink eye, so he'd been running around trying to fix the problem, and now he just rubbed himself in the face. So the paranoia has set in.
Yes. And we're currently at Remembrance Day here in Winnipeg.
Yes.
And nothing open until 1 in the afternoon that sold the medicine that Rob was so desperate for.
And apparently there's a shortage of it at the same time.
Apparently
so
there's been a run on antibiotic eye drops. For whatever reason, no lettuce, no antibiotic eye drops. Don't know if they're related. I'm just saying.
The funny thing is, like, you know how many times I washed my hands today?
I
Like,
can't
probably
imagine.
50.
Like Leonardo DiCaprio in The Aviator. Wash your hands.
Yeah, they're getting that dry.
Do you have your own bar of soap in your back pocket? Wash your hands.
I have jars of urine everywhere.
Okay, so Daniel Spellbound, you give it a 10. Lucy gives it about a 9.
I didn't give it 10. I give it a 9.
Okay.
Lucy probably gives it like an 8.
I'm speaking out of school. What's
yeah.
your pick?
The other show that I'm watching, the adult show, is Peripheral on Prime.
Okay.
I fucking love it. But I also have a giant boner for anything William Gibson does.
Is it a
And
book that
it's
they're
based
they've
on a
adapted?
it's based on a 2014 novel of his. I haven't read this particular novel,
Okay.
but it definitely has a very cool feel to it. Very just on the cusp of near future kind of stuff. And I just like it. It's
What's her name is in it?
the girl from
Zoe Grace Moretz. Zoe
that's
Grace
it.
Moretz. Yeah.
She's from Kick-Ass.
Yes, she's definitely from Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
Nice.
She's great in it.
She also played Carrie in in a remake of Carrie too, I
she did.
believe.
Yeah. It's a cool.
Point Michael.
So it basically takes place like 10 years in the future.
So not too
So
distant.
2030, 2032, I believe it is.
Okay.
And
I like that when my impending doom is that close.
and it's
Yeah.
it's talking about like how cool simulations and online gaming is gotten and those
Virtual
kind of things.
reality.
And then there might be something to do with sending your consciousness back and forth to the future. And I'll leave it at that.
Oh, you've really sold me on this, and I know.
And that's all I'm going to tell you. And
See-
it's the same producers as Westworld.
Yes, Jonathan and Jonathan or Jonathan. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Jonathan Nolan and Christina or Christy. Yeah. I heard that when they first announced it. You'd been talking about it in the chat group, being like, "This is an awesome show," and I meant to get to it. And then Westworld got canceled because David Zaslav at Warner Brothers is a fucking cock. and now I've got nothing by them. And
Do you want to know why Westworld got canceled?
It's because it's too fucking expensive.
No.
Why?
It's because season 2 was too fucking slow, and everyone that liked season 1, half the people dropped off in season 2. And
I
didn't
agree.
Continue to
Oh,
3 and
okay,
4.
I agree very much.
That's
then.
the problem.
I was part of that.
That is me.
Yeah. No,
and
it
they
makes
just
perfect sense.
they changed the tempo and the feel too much that it wasn't enough to capture my interest continuously, especially when I have to wait a week each time.
Yeah.
It wasn't the first season had such good cliffhangers at every episode.
I think too many.
Season 2 had almost fucking zero.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like,
They
I can't wait to
plateaued.
watch the next one. I was like, and then I forgot about it, and then
And 3 and 4 could be amazing.
and 3 and 4 actually look like they're fucking awesome because they're
But-
actually in the future world out of the fucking
Oh man,
out of the Disney world.
They went back to like their basics of
Yeah.
episode 1 with the most recent 4, which is such a shame because they're like, okay, we know what we did. Maybe we should come back to what made you all fall in love with this to begin with, and they did that. And now you're right. Yeah,
Too little, too late.
that's $100 million season of television. That's a lot of money.
Lost their fucking momentum, and that's where
Sure.
one bad fucking season, from a writing perspective, can derail
It
everything.
happened to The Walking Dead. So many people watched
I fell
Walking
off.
Dead forever,
I
and
fell
now
off 'cause
you
of
mention it, you're like, people said, it's still on? I'm like, yeah, it's finishing this year. But the last 2 seasons, I think, have been great.
I'm sorry.
So what do you
that
do? Do
show
you-
ended with Rick.
Ooh,
Hot take.
a gramophile.
Yeah. No, I
Don't give a fuck.
It's good. Now it has nothing to do with the original characters at all, and it's great.
And that's cool. That's great.
Then
Then call it The Walking Dead fucking West Coast or some shit.
How long are the episodes? Like a good hour long for Peripheral? Like, do you really get
They're a solid hour.
nice?
Hour
That's-
5.
And Amazon Prime, they got so much fucking money to do whatever they want with Amazon Prime Video that they take big They made a 700.
Every single TV series that they film, the quality is fucking top notch. It's HDR10 plus. It's 4K up to the balls. The streaming quality is so good. I actually think it's better than Netflix.
I agree with you. The stuff I've been watching lately just is coming in at such a different
But Netflix also has a
momentum and
fucking
level.
boner for Dolby Vision, and you know what? Like, Dolby Vision's great, but it's fucking expensive, and it gets added to TVs that don't actually benefit too much from having them because they're already awesome TVs. But that's
I
another.
think my
discussion
complaint
itself.
about Prime stuff on Amazon is that they they do first seasons of a lot of shows.
Mhm.
Yeah, they never.
And I fell in love with a couple shows that never got second seasons
So
because
does
I think
Netflix.
they did too many first seasons and then there wasn't enough to like. I wish they would have just held off. a
COVID
bit.
also
They
fucks,
jerked you right to climax and
Oh,
left you
COVID,
hanging.
man.
I think COVID also fucked a little bit of that up too.
Like Utopia was such a good show.
it's coming back.
Is it?
It better be. Like they
No,
were
it's
talking about. They talked about
You're an
crowdfunding
asshole.
a second season
It's
because
not.
people
I'm just
loved
fucking
it so
with
much.
you. It's good. It's good. I like Upload.
Upload's great.
It's fucking good.
Yeah, I've watched all of Upload.
The
Season 3's coming.
Billy Bob
This
Thornton.
season 3, I thought they kind of tied it up in a bow.
Did they?
Yeah.
Do you guys watch Goliath?
I'm pretty sure there's going to be season 3.
Ah.
He comes back.
Yeah, no.
Ah.
There's a season.
Did you
3.
watch?
I've
Did you
seen
watch
the-
season 2 of Upload?
Yeah.
At the fucking end, they go into that place and they're growing his body
Ah,
in a
that's true.
vat. They
You're
basically
right. I
grow-
forgot that they went into that. Yeah. Oh, you're right.
Tied
you're
it
right.
in a bow. What are you talking about?
Well,
That's
it's
a big
kinda
fucking
had it-
They
cliffhanger.
tied it in a bow for next season.
People die. They can upload their body, their
Yes.
minds, and then they can regrow a new body from their DNA and re-upload. That's fucking cool.
Well, they were downloading in season 2, right? And guys were exploding.
Something like that.
Yeah, they're like, hey, he downloaded. Like the really rich people could download into a new body, but
yeah.
they'd like explode after 3 days.
Yeah.
Kind of like Westworld, where they would just like degenerate because they couldn't understand.
I loved the
what they were
world
in.
of Upload. It was there were so many neat gimmicks
Oh, yeah.
within it.
Yeah.
Do you think Amazon's making these series so that we are all prepared for it? Peripheral, Upload.
No, I just think that near future stuff is something that people always think is cool.
yeah.
We talked about it in the 70s. It's just the way things have evolved. Our concept of what near future is vastly different than it was in 1982 when Blade Runner was made.
Yeah.
In Blade Runner, it was androids and flying cars, right? And off-world colonies, right? Now it's basically the conceptualization of where the internet's gone and how the complexity of that interacts with our daily lives.
Nobody predicted the virtual world.
No.
Like, and all the old
Not in
things.
old movies, but authors did in the early 80s. William Gibson is the prime example.
What I liked about the second season of Upload is that they have the one female character, I can't remember her name, who's like she's basically in meta. She's got the full suit on. She's not dead, but she's faking being uploaded, and she's living
that's
in
his girlfriend.
Yeah, she's living in the upload world, but
Yeah.
she's not dead.
Yeah.
And she's got like a full sensor suit on and glasses.
She like lays in the
lays
bathtub.
in a bathtub
Yeah.
the whole time.
And
Well, from what I've been reading in the news these days, I don't think we're going to have them.
We're not far from that.
Yeah.
the good thing about Prime 2 is they finally redid their interface, and it
it's
is.
so beautiful.
I wouldn't say it's so beautiful.
I
would say it's better, but Netflix still is the best.
I use a lot of the channels that Amazon Prime offers, so when I
just
get
canceled
on,
all my subscriptions to them.
I think Disney's Plus is better.
I think Disney
Netflix.
Plus is not a great
Disney
format
Plus's
to search in.
algorithm sucks.
I mean, just for ease of use of.
I was going to
interface,
say
like,
content. Their content is.
They don't have a lot of content, but
Under the Star.
Oh
well,
man,
it's under Star there
dig,
is, yes.
dig deep. There's tons. Rescue Me just showed up on there. I'm like, thank Christ, I
If
can
you
watch
wanna
Rescue Me
dig
all
deep.
over again.
Well, what's happening is all the rights that Disney sold and 20th Century Fox had sold to other streaming services is all starting to end.
Coming back,
and
yeah.
as soon as it ends, Disney goes, ours forever, ours forever.
You're right. Yeah.
Oh, the one thing we didn't
like, I'm
mention
ama-
about Black Panther, speaking of properties that nobody could use,
Oh my
fucking
God.
the word mutant appears in in Wakanda Forever.
That was the biggest moment in the whole entire film for me. I leaned over at him and just started
They
I-
called him a mutant.
Guys, you know what I can't wait for is I can't wait for the full-on X-Men done properly, and I want to see Sentinels so fucking cool and giant and big, and them battling them.
We're like 10 years out. I can see it. We're 10 years out.
Oh, dude!
Like
All I gotta say is they better make Rogue so fucking awesome, like she is in the fucking comics.
He looks directly into the camera. Namor is doing this
Yeah.
big spiel about
Yeah.
where he came from, who and how
Yeah.
he came to be, and who his mother was. And he says, they called me this, they called me that. And he's like, they called me a mutant. And he's not even looking at, he's not looking at who he's looking at. He's looking at the audience going like, look, Disney paid $40 billion for
I'm a
this one
mutant.
word. And now we get to say it. He's
and
the
we
fir-
now, just like that, boom, there's mutants in the world.
Yeah. That.
Oh, really? So Disney paid $40 billion to use the word mutant?
Wow.
Come on. What else? Well, I
If
mean,
you really want to like oversimplify.
the rest of the stuff is great. Don't get me wrong. There was a reason to buy it, but I'm pretty
Elon,
sure.
Elon paid $44 billion to get a blue check mark.
Yeah, I mean, and everybody else is now paying $8 to maybe be themselves. All right, well, fair enough. Yeah, there you go. So you got Black Panther, you got Daniel Spellbound, and you've got The Peripheral. Those are some pretty good picks for this week, ladies and gentlemen. We have some questions from fans who I'm horrible at remembering, so I've set up some reminders here. So we've got some comments and some questions. This question comes. It's a new segment called Questions with the Real Debaters. This question comes from the Manitoba Money Shot podcast. I asked last week. I got sick, as you can clearly tell. I'm still suffering from it. But I asked if anybody had any questions that they wanted us to review on the show, and Rob's got an answer for you here, sir. So,
Oh wait! I gotta refresh my memory.
all right, take your time.
I got
Take your
so
time.
into-
So, question came from
oh,
Instagram.
okay, I got it.
Got it, perfect. All right, and the Manitoba Money Shot podcast asked which standalone film would have been the best to make as a trilogy of, essentially. So what, like, we're not doing anything. This is just
So-
the story.
So
How do
my
we-
question with that is this a movie where they did a single movie, but it would have been better if they'd done 3? Or is this a movie where they did a movie and it would have been awesome if there was 2 more made afterwards to tie up the entire potential of the story?
I think that's probably the more fun answer. And
Is the
what there-
second?
Is the second, yeah.
So for me, it's District 9.
Oh, yes. 10 and 11 need to be made.
Yeah, and they left it hanging like it was, right? Because he transforms into the alien.
I argued this when
Right?
we did Best Sequel.
And
It's so prime
and
for one.
And I kind of feel like that was kind of the plan. And Neil, if you're listening to this,
Blomkamp.
please do this. Please.
The
do
story,
this.
there's such a romantic story behind District 9 because it was a replacement for Halo. Halo got too expensive. They had some money left. They took this off the shelf. It was a script that nobody even bothered to look at. That cost $70 million. I think $30 to $70 million was the budget. That does not look like a $30 to $70 million budget movie. That is a fucking $200 million budget.
That's what it looks like.
And they
I think him filming it in South Africa helped as well, probably keeping costs down.
for sure. And they also they just pivoted on costume design. Like a lot of that stuff was designed for the Master Chief outfits and for armor for people in the Halo Wars community. And they were like, well, what do we do with this? And they were like, let's do an Alien script. So they just literally took what they'd made, applied it to a different script, and boom, you have this.
I didn't even know that. That's cool.
It's such and it's Peter. What's his face?
The thing I like about District 9 too.
It's Peter Jackson and Neil Blomkamp.
Yeah, I love the fact that they play on the haves and have-nots.
Yeah,
and Blomkamp does that in a lot of movies. He does that in Elysium as well, right?
So he's a huge. Yeah. He loves to put classism in his stuff, and like that's where it gets grounded, right? It could be this way out there sci-fi film, or he's got some shorts that he's got on. It's either on Netflix or Amazon Prime, but he did a series of like 7 to 9 minute films.
Netflix.
He did one with Sigourney Weaver, this huge alien thing. Like he always ties in some sort of like really relevant, just theme that he's not just getting away with making some out there sci-fi film. Is my point. I'm rambling. So all right. So you think District 9? I think it's great too. Mark, what about you?
He also put D. Antwerp in a fucking movie.
That's true.
The band, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I was thinking about a little bit this when we were talking, and I'm like, I'm always like recent movies, but I kind of went back to my childhood and my youth, and I said, I might have liked the E.T. trilogy. I said, I want a little more backstory. I want to know about E.T. I want to know, like, you could have like done in the trilogy, like did the E.T., but then gave us like the origin story, of his world, and then gave us like the follow through. Afterwards.
You know there'd be Wookiees in it.
Right? And
They're
E.T.
part of the
sitting,
same solar
right,
system.
sitting on the council. Right? In Star Wars, they say there's E.T. looking creatures sitting on the council.
You're very
when they does the pan through.
Right? Yeah.
That's why I brought it up.
You're very correct on that.
So it was a cool movie.
They're
but
from
we
Kashik.
We
Did you know that?
We don't know anything about his people.
Native of Hoth.
I love the backstories of that kind of
Dagobah.
stuff.
If they're anywhere, they're from fucking Dagobah.
Sure. Very. Yeah.
Fucking Dagobah.
That's a great play because you just get this one off of this alien. Where'd this alien come from? And do they continue their friendship?
Right.
Elliot.
Like when E.T. goes home.
Think about how many awesome bad
Does
Atari games there would
Does
have
he
been.
bring Elliot to come visit him in his home? Like what I want to know.
There was a movie.
And the video game would have been much better if
It would have been
trilogy.
cool if they tied in The Last Navigator with E.T.
with
somehow.
maybe that was it. Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to go deep cut here. I'm going to go back to my dad's movie choice when I was a kid. He showed me the movie Nighthawks. You ever seen this? Billy D. Williams and Sylvester Stallone. I want that to be like a dark Michael Mann crime series. I think someone should pick up and make that because those two, it's Rudiger Hauer, Stallone, and Billy D. Williams. And Rudiger Hauer's this terrorist, and it's these two like leather jacket 80s cops trying to find this terrorist, and they're jacked. And they're jacked. Like it's really fun to watch.
There's excuses for them to take their jackets off, and don't they have muscle shirts on?
Yeah. Like it's
and they're always sweaty.
You know that scene in
the fight scenes? There's always water.
That scene in Predator when they do the giant handshake and they show the muscles for like 30 seconds.
Oh yeah.
That is all of Nighthawks. That's just an extended scene.
It's like the scene. It's like the race scene in Rocky 3 where the two of them are like running down the beach. And
yes, it's
so
exactly that. That's the whole fucking film. That's the whole fucking.
But they're training, and you're just like, yes.
But it's fun because it's got this end sequence where like you think Stallone's like something's happened to Stallone's character, and then this terrorist rapist guy they're going after that Rudiger Hauer's character is. He's sneaking into this townhouse and turns around Stallone. Stallone's dressed like the little old lady from Driving Miss Daisy, and he just pulls out a shotgun and blows him away. It's just cheesy 80s over the top crime, but it would be fun as a series.
What you guys were talking about there, a movie trope that I love, or whatever you want to call it, a device, cinematic device, is the training trio, like the training montage of things. I love training montages, and I love assembling the team storylines
and movies that take place in one
What's
room.
the best training montage?
If you could put all
ever?
of those together, Rocky's pretty fucking good.
Which Rocky?
Rocky
Four.
Yeah, right
Training in Russia?
Yeah.
Where that is the quintessential scene because you got fucking fucking
lifting logs,
running up the fucking snow, fucking like.
And it's also
Meanwhile, the other guy's getting like steroids put in his arm, and like he's like fighting with the most high tech shit.
That's the thing, though, is that he fell from grace because Paulie wasted all his money. So he goes from living in like the big house to living in the doghouse and training in like he came from the steroids and the high tech technology and then lost it all. That's why that training scene means so much.
There's also like the reverse training montage in like Captain America, the first Captain, like showing how pathetic he was. Like prior to until he shows his like spirit as opposed to his strength.
Well, a hero's journey always needs that scene where like you flash through all of the steps it takes really fast so we get to the fucking point of the matter. But you've always got those moments where like when Rambo gears up to go into a fucking fight, right? And he like drops his knife into his boot and like clicks the fucking gun and the clip together, right? Like any of those fast clip sequences when someone's preparing to do a thing, those are so much fun. Yeah. That's the trope of one of the tropes of all tropes. You want to get in the show?
Let's do it.
Right. First up, ladies and gentlemen, we got a real talk for you. So this comes from another list online. We love lists because they do all the work for us. 10 directors whose films gradually got worse. Like they made this huge fucking hit, or they made a couple hits. We'll extend it for our world, and then they just kind of trended on that, or didn't really step outside the box, or maybe like the director of Die Hard who went to prison, Jonathan McTiernan.
Yes,
right?
I read that. Yeah.
Right, like kind of some shit happened. Anyways, I'll take this one off the top first. I was reading this morning, and I like a lot of the films that a lot of these people were shitting on, and it's a Screen Rant list, so you know it's just designed for clicks and eyes and shit. But I went with Guy Ritchie. I think Guy Ritchie's first, and I mean, I'm just doing this for this conversation. I love The Gentleman. I love Wrath of Man. I even loved King Arthur, right? King Arthur.
Yeah, King Arthur's good.
Yeah, like even Aladdin was tolerable, right? I mean, and someone you can't yell at the guy for wanting to get paid, right? And Aladdin is a Disney movie. That's big money for a director, right? Like you're in the business to make money and get the fuck out. But the Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and the Snatch, like the early Cockney English comedy stuff that's laced into like some cheesy dude comedy, that stuff, I don't think he's ever going to get back to that. I've seen you've seen
I don't
it.
think
I
you
disagree.
can.
Really?
Well, The Gentleman had little pieces of it.
Everything does have
But do you
little
want
pieces.
something that is? But that's not what the question is. The question is, are the movies he makes not as good as the originals?
I'm saying in this context, yes.
Okay, well, I completely disagree with you.
That's fine. Tell me why.
Sherlock Holmes.
I'm not saying they're bad movies, but
Sherlock fucking Holmes is a fucking good fucking movie.
they're great movies. I had a hard time picking this. Like I don't want.
I disagree. I think he had a lull where he dropped down. Then he did Sherlock Holmes, and he's had a little bit of an ebb and flow, like any good director.
But Sherlock Holmes is still now a decade old or more.
Like his original
yeah,
stuff.
but Lock, Stock is like
Thank you, by
is
the way.
26 years old. No, it's almost 30 years old.
But there is always something to a renegade filmmaker who's like, I'm going to make whatever the fuck I want to make, and then eventually you make studio films, which are the films you're told to make. And there's the difference, I
But
think,
even
is that
Tarantino's had some fucking movies that weren't that great.
yeah, but studios give him a fucking blank check.
You can only make
Same
so
with
many.
Guy Ritchie.
You can only make so
True,
many
but-
movies like his early movies, though. They were had his stamp on them.
Lock,
Like,
Stock
how
is
many-
so good, though.
How many Snatches and Lock, Stocks can you make until it just seems redundant?
You're talking to the Kevin Smith fan in the room, which
Right.
every movie's the same. So I like some things that don't.
yeah,
change
and he
at all.
did it, and he can't just keep doing it because it gets
He
worse.
can
if he
because
keeps
I
doing the
fucking
same
said
thing.
so.
Can I ask you a question, though? Do you actually put Snatch even in the same caliber as Lock, Stock? I don't. It's good.
It's
not Lock, Stock good.
It's where it
Can I
starts.
tell you a personal story about Lock, Stock?
Yeah.
So I rented it, and I watched it, and I was like, I finished watching it, and I was like, holy fuck, that's so good. I rewound it, and I rewatched it because it was on a VHS tape.
I've done that with very few movies, and most
And
of them come
that
from
is
the 90s.
one of the only movies I've ever done that.
I have one movie that was on TV,
Yeah.
and I watched it, and it was one of those times where TBS would show the same movie like 4 times back to back, and I watched it twice back. Movies on TV, people watch twice in a row.
So that took you 9 hours to watch on TBS.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
Only
'cause 3
movie
hours
I've
of commercials.
ever done that to, Shawshank.
Wow.
Shawshank's good.
That's a movie that if you're flipping the channels and Shawshank's on, you
I
have
just
to
stop-
stop
I
and
just
watch
stop
it.
I do. I do. Forrest Gump's my stop. Whatever. Like I could be in the middle of coitus, and I'm just like, sorry, honey, Forrest is running. Like it just, I'll be back to it once the movie's over.
You're not gonna do the George Costanza, and you're gonna be like having sex while watching a mini TV and eating
And
a
pulling the
sandwich.
sandwich out of the nightstand.
George, what are you doing?
I was told
Nothing,
that,
baby. Don't worry about it.
Oh, that's good.
but I like for this conversation.
Mike,
I
you've
mean,
seen Seinfeld, right? You were allowed
yeah,
to watch that.
Yeah, I was allowed to watch that. Yeah, no. But it's come to our attention that you were having sex on your desk. What? That wasn't allowed. That's frowned upon here. No, I didn't want to pick something because I'm the shill. I'm the guy who likes almost everything. But so I'm honestly more often than not pressed in these situations because I do love all these directors and I love the director. I watched Wrath of Man like 6 times. I think it's perfect.
I think
It's a perfect crime movie.
and I'll humbly agree to disagree with you
Yeah.
because I think he's had some lulls, but I think there's been good consistency of the work that Guy Ritchie has produced since he did Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. I think there's some examples that we're going to get to that show a fucking trajectory to shit much better.
For sure.
I also think that and I'm going to just throw in
George Lucas.
and I'm going to throw an overwhelming thing that I noticed when I went through this list is that a lot of them were directors who did a movie that was very groundbreaking or genre breaking. That's a very identifiable. Like if I say Guy Ritchie, you say
it's hard to up
Lock,
it.
Stock. Like almost
fucking
original.
it's
If
fucking
I say
packaging,
Lucas, you say Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right? Just like that.
But Lock,
And-
Stock, I don't think was. I guess it was pretty
But
revolutionary.
right?
Are you saying that these are the Kleenexes of the film world?
Well, what I'm saying is that once, like, did their movies really get worse, or did they just you identify them as that genre, and because they didn't keep making movies like that movie, you
Okay.
say they're getting worse?
the same conversation can be had for like a sophomore album versus like a follow-up, right?
I was
Like,
just
yeah,
I was gonna
like
use
Michael
that example
Michael
too.
Bay got worse because he kept making the same movie and it kept getting worse.
yes.
Right? Like
Mike-
each Transformers got consecutively worse than
Michael
the one
Bay
before.
traces out his films and then just reinserts like, okay, we need turtles instead of robots. We need
But I mean, other people that don't make the same movie, like Kevin Smith, you say Clerks, like you can't. You know, yes, there's other good movies.
You
Yes,
fucking dicks
Dogma.
that you suck.
Yes, Dogma was good, but you
I
only
actually
make one
think Mallrats
Clerks.
is better than Clerks.
Okay, Mallrats is
that's
great,
a follow-up. That's
right?
yeah,
But you can only do that a couple times,
And
and then that genre's dead.
for sure. And you don't want to pigeonhole yourself. You don't want to be the guy. So yes, like there are quintessential Guy Ritchie moments in everything he's done. Very, very many in The Gentleman. I think it's the closest thing.
The Gentleman is the closest thing to Lock, Stock that I think I've seen from him. And
just-
Gentleman was great.
I guess I came to them at a point in my life
The
where
Gentleman
I was
actually reminds me more of Layer Cake than it does Lock, Stock.
No, I haven't seen Layer Cake.
Layer Cake is a fantastic film. It's
You
one of
haven't seen
Daniel.
Layer Cake? You need to watch that today.
Oh man, Daniel Craig, Coke dealer.
That is
fantastic.
one of my favorite movies.
Sienna Miller's in it.
So good.
Very, very good. Very good. I watched it. Great soundtrack too. Great
Oh, fuck,
soundtrack.
It's amazing.
Something about the multiple storylines, like The Gentleman, that was just is just so good.
I love
Where it
those
all
things.
comes together.
Like
Yeah.
like Knives Out was like that, completely different genre, but like that those multiple stories, and you see a version of something, and you don't realize that you're seeing it like through the eyes of some person. It's not actually what happened. I love movies like that, where you'll see the same scene like 4 times from somebody else's perspective,
Yeah.
and that happens in Knives Out a lot because you think you saw what happened, but you just saw one person's perspective.
You know what I love? The scene I love the most, I think, in The Gentleman is the scene with. Am I brain farting on that this Irish actors where he's the scene where he's in the. He's in like the burger place and he just beats the shit out of those.
Colin
Colin Farrell
Just
beats the shit out of those fucking
young
kids.
punks.
What is it? What's that guy's name?
Holy
Fuck off.
Fuck.
What does he call him?
I don't know. That is a fucking amazing scene.
Oh, everything that Colin
That's a
Farrell
gentleman,
does in
right?
The Gentleman.
Yeah,
That's
and
a
the whole
Gentleman, yeah.
Charlie Hunnam, where they're sitting and talking in the
The
backyard with Hugh Grant.
With Hugh Grant having a steak.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No. It has. All
I also
of the
love
things.
Charlie Hunnam. Like that guy.
Underrated.
He should be a fucking bigger movie star.
He really should. He's underrated, and he's done some stuff. Like he hasn't. It's not like he did Sons of Anarchy and then fizzled or fizzled.
No,
I should
he's
say.
done
Like,
lots of awesome stuff. Just for whatever reason,
Escape to
a few-
Pretoria. He did
a
with
few of his movies just
Pacific
haven't.
Rim. Come
right?
on.
Yeah. Like
City of Z was good, but
I
again,
think
it
he
wasn't
gets
big.
too much shit for his fucking accent because it falls through a lot of the time, and I can put up with it. But I think the general public and possibly studios are like, once he kind of gets a hard American accent perfected, I think that guy's going to blow up. But I think a lot of people are, like he's no Idris Elba hiding it, which is sad. But I mean, that's just my opinion.
Just don't
Don't
cast
you
him in
fuck
American
with Stringer
movies
Bell.
then.
Okay, so yeah, I got Guy Ritchie. Rob,
For me, it's M. Night.
it's M. Night. Really?
Has he made a good movie to fall off of?
Well, that's the whole point. And to go back, because but here's the thing, right? And this goes back to your sophomore. Think about how many bands have an amazing first album, and they do a second and a third and a fourth, and there's maybe one hit per album, but their first album had 5 or 6, or the whole fucking album was amazing because they had their whole lives up to that point to write those songs.
Oldest stories in
Right?
the music business.
M. Night Shyamalan, his first movie, Sixth Sense, is so fucking good.
Yeah.
It's so fucking good. It's one of those movies that you will write on a list of how fucking surprised were you at the end of this movie? And I would say 9 out of 10 people will put that in the top 1, 2, or 3.
You know how you know he's fallen off so much? Is that 5 movies later, the trailer for it still said from the maker of The Sixth Sense and didn't mention his last 5 movies.
Unbreakable was okay.
You'd be like, The Village from the maker of The Sixth Sense.
I thought The Village, but I see
The Village was good, but it wasn't holy fuck.
You know, when you always go back to your crowning achievement, even though there's been 8 movies
Signs
in between.
was good, wasn't holy fuck.
But they all have
A good twist, but they are not fucking The Sixth Sense.
No, they aren't, because that was the one where you're looking at the character and you fell for the fact that you couldn't figure it out. It's a very big.
I feel like he
ha-ha
starts
on the
with the twist and then tries to build the story back from the twist.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
And listen, I love his Alfred Hitchcockness, that he always does a cameo and he writes it and he does all of this shit. And listen, man, his movies are still good.
Happening was okay,
but the thing is that
high
first one was
expectations.
so high
yeah.
that it's like he's never been able to live up to that. And that's all.
Did he do that whole series? Did he do Glass too?
Oh,
Yeah, that's his.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And-
Split,
and
Glass.
Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a movie that should be a fucking trilogy that's a standalone movie.
I agree.
Like
I
that's
very much agree.
You watch that movie and you're like, well, that got fast forwarded quick. That should be 3 fucking movies.
I just want to defend Guy Ritchie for another 5 seconds if I can. I think I came to him at a point in my film life where I was like, this is really hip and cool, and I'd never been exposed to it before. It's kind of finding that album that nobody knows about that starts to trend and starts to get big, and then you've got to share it with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
I think that's my exposure to Guy Ritchie.
That's because you're a fucking hipster.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's exactly where it is. That's in my DNA. Anyways, okay.
Are you defending it like you're saying that his new stuff is good?
What I will say again.
Are you the guy that comes to me and says, you got to listen to Nirvana's new album? I'm like, they made more than one album.
No,
You got to listen to No Doubt's newest. No, I
You
don't.
got to listen to Aqua's third
Yeah,
album.
exactly,
It's so good.
Listen, guys, Collective Soul is amazing.
Right? You go to
No.
the Metallica concert, you just want them to play new stuff.
No, I'm not. I'm not that guy. No. What I'm
Don't
saying.
play your old shit, man. Only the new stuff.
Nobody wants to hear Enter Sandman.
I would feel that when I made my
Justice for All sucks.
when I made my decision, I was like, this is the one I can live with the most. So it's not a matter of I disagree with you guys on those positions.
Your pick is wrong.
Okay, that's fine. You can think that. Mark, do you have anything before?
So
we
you
go?
argued it from the point of view that their call was wrong.
No, he's not even on the list. I just
okay.
argued it from a perspective. I was
Wasn't
like,
he on the list?
No, I don't think I didn't.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was.
Did you get to the bottom of the list, Mike? Or
No, I only read the headline.
he's on the list.
Okay, so do you have anything before we kick into it?
Yeah, I was going to say mine was I'm the opposite. I read it on the list and I disagree. Is Taika Waititi?
Oh yeah.
I
agree.
think
I disagree too.
I think Taika is making great stuff. I think he's bouncing around between genres, and
that shows his flexibility as a director, like
100%.
a Spielberg.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue is that they see a one Taika Waititi thing and they want another Ragnarok or something, and they're not going to get it if people just know him from that. But he's doing I was telling you earlier, Reservation
Jojo
Dogs
Rabbit
is
is
amazing.
so-
Jojo Rabbit was amazing.
Is so good.
Yeah.
I've seen that movie.
And
I watch it all
such
the time.
a different genre. So I think the problem is people see the movie and they're like, I want another one of these.
He played Adolf Hitler because no one
Right?
else wanted
Exactly.
to do it. That's how good that
But
shit
who would
is.
have told you that the guy that made Ragnarok made Jojo Rabbit? Nobody.
The guy
And then
who-
he decides to make a show about indigenous reservations in the U.S., like the stories of kids.
Have you seen Hunt for the Wilder People? With
No, I
Sam
haven't.
Neill and,
No, I haven't actually. Is it good?
Okay, so
That makes sense that he did the reservation documentary because
New Zealand.
because he's got Maori roots.
Right,
and stuff,
it is.
Yeah.
It's mirroring the Maori experience in
Yeah.
the U.S., and it's great because it's giving an outlet for some amazing indigenous actors, and I love the series. But then it's still got that Taika Waititi like one of the main characters in its name is Laura Dannon. Like she's like the main title character. You know who that is? You got it. That's the kid from
Never ending story.
No, the other one. The
Oh, Laura. Oh, sorry. That's Willow.
Willow.
was more
Sorry,
of
I'm
a
mixing
never-ending
up
Right,
story
like
person.
throwbacks to different things, and he's got he's
also
doing
gonna
well.
do once he's finished doing Thor and the Star Wars shit. He's gonna finally direct Akira, and that's all I give a fuck about.
That's his like swan song. You think?
Well, no, he's been chosen to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I-
He's the director of it. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
been.
I think
it's
when
been
you
put-
see
it's just been
somebody
pushed back
Keeps
a
getting
little bit more.
postponed because
Yeah.
of
when you
I'll
see
say
a
yes.
director, and
It'll
you-
happen because DiCaprio is one of the executive producers, and he will make it happen.
Like when you see a director and you like the one major film that they made, and then they make something else that isn't your cup of tea, you think that he got worse as a director. But I don't think you're being objective about his directing ability as so much as you didn't like that movie.
You know what's
Well-
weird about that statement though is that maybe that shows that that's why Steven Spielberg is still probably the greatest director that has ever lived, because that man jumps to so many genres. And sometimes you'll watch a movie and be like, wow, that was a great movie. And then you actually find out later that Steven Spielberg directed. And you're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah, he's EP on so much shit. Like,
No, but
it's-
I'm talking directs it sometimes. Like when I saw the Tintin movie,
Okay,
and
yeah,
I liked Tintin because I liked reading the books when I was younger, and I saw the Tintin movie, I was like, fuck, this is a fucking awesome movie. And then I was like looking, and I was like, wait a second, Steven Spielberg fucking directed this?
It is a shock sometimes because he does spread his wings so far. Yeah, no, you're right. It's a
Well,
good point.
do a comparison. Think of Jaws, Indiana Jones, Exorcist,
E.T.,
Schindler's List, E.T.,
Munich.
and then Catch Me If You Can.
Ready Player One.
Like
who
it's
else
just
has that?
nobody.
Yeah.
And all
Post.
those movies are so good.
Yeah, no, he understands storytelling and knows how to direct.
Except for
the
Temple of
story.
Doom. Temple of Doom can suck my dick.
You get the fuck out of my house. Yeah. Okay. No, I think Taika Waititi's brilliant. Shauna loves Hunt for the Wilder People. It's the angry kid from Deadpool 2,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
one who can light up.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and Sam Neill, and it's
Oh, cool.
Australian or New Zealand, takes place over there.
Probably
the-
New Zealand because
yeah.
isn't Sam Neill? Is he?
Sam
Kiwi?
Neill's Aussie or Kiwi, one of the
Yeah,
two.
yeah.
And I think that kid was
He is
Australian,
Australian,
or
yeah.
New Zealand.
Yeah, it's a comedy. It's a young kid who needs some direction in life and goes into the wilderness, hunt for the wilder people. With Sam Neill, and like doesn't want to be a parent. He's very Jurassic Park character. He's just Dr. Grant. But it's a really fun, silly Taika Waititi story, right? And that was where I was introduced to him. And then you find out that he's making fucking Ragnarok, and you're like, holy shit! Like I was just lucky enough to be around Shauna because she loved the films. I had no idea who he was, and it
His
was-
Mandalorian episode was great.
right? Like he's
kind of almost come out of nowhere. Like he went from like working in the industry to just fucking superstardom. Like,
yeah. And when they ask him, he's always like, "Well, they're like, what do you do when you have a Marvel movie? Like, how does it work?" He's like, "You just say yes to everything. That's all you do,
Yeah.
and figure it out
Yeah.
later, right?"
Yeah,
And,
totally.
like the scale of what he can do now.
And I think he cut his
storytelling.
teeth on like some Flight of the Conchords. He did.
oh, is that
Oh,
where he
really?
does
Some of
really?
that stuff
Oh,
over, yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, which is
That actually
great.
makes sense.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
let's go through this list quickly here and see if we agree or disagree. I'm the biggest Kevin Smith fan in the room, first on the list, and I'm going to tell you that
Room or city?
probably
Country.
great nation of ours. I love everything he does because it is all the same. He will argue you and say that he'll tell me I'm right. It is all the same. There is the same through line. It's the same humor. It's the same shit. It's going back to the well.
It's the
for
same universe.
It is the
It's
same.
the same
universe.
characters. Let's be
It's
Right.
like
honest.
the
It
same
is.
universe.
It is. So you can't
Jay
say.
and Silent Bob is fucking great.
He
Well-
just throws the same dude back in.
But
and-
here's the thing, though. To your point, Mark, he premiered at Sundance with Clerks. That's the place where like all of the filmmakers premiere, and to his, unknowingly, Harvey Weinstein, right, buys it, takes it, does all these things. Like he came off like Clerks isn't one of those like
And that's back when
independent.
Sundance was still really rinky dinky because that would have been early 90s.
Early 90s, very like 92, 93.
And when did it start? Like 89, 90?
Yeah, what was
Robert
when,
Redford started, right?
Yeah, when Redford could walk upright, basically, and may he be well. But anyways,
Don't you hate on?
I don't hate on Robert. He's just getting really old. I just hope he's doing
Dude,
well.
he's like 80 something, man.
Yeah.
Spy Games is so fucking good. They should make a trilogy out of that.
Yeah, you can't say that Kevin Smith shit is less than the original because it's all the same. I don't know. Agree? Disagree?
I think it's the same thing. He made one.
Why don't we just take three?
He created a genre of film, and then.
Well, what's better, Clerks or Clerks 2?
Clerks 2.
I haven't even
I
seen
think
Clerks
Clerks 2 is better because it's more of a laugh riot, where Clerks 1 is more of a commentary on someone's life and the comedy that they see in their world, right? Like, I think Clerks sits up there with coffee and cigarettes. Clerks sits like it's very art house. It's like, Clerks 2 is very.
It did introduce me to the term interspecies erotica,
you're right? Yeah.
which I do like. But Clerks 1 did
Kinky
have
Kelly.
did have a woman have sex with a dead guy in a bathroom.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a guy like staring at eggs for 20 minutes, finding the perfect. I mean, some people are obsessive. Jonathan McTiernan obviously just fell from
Die
grace
Hard?
because Die Hard, yes, but then went to prison. Like,
Why do you go to prison?
I don't know.
Did he kill a guy?
Everybody expected McTiernan to have a long process.
It doesn't say in the article.
Okay, scroll down. Let's keep going. That's too bad. Did he do the second one?
He did do the second one, yeah.
The second one's great because I love the one scene where the guy gets the icicles shoved in his eye.
No, 3 is better than 2.
Oh, well, it is, but I just like that one scene in 2.
All right.
Hey, Zeus.
Michael Bay.
We don't even need to argue that next.
No, I
Battleship was so bad.
You know what?
Agree.
I
but
thought
I love it. I love it. I watch it all the time.
Battleship is Transformers,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
It's just the same thing.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
And
but I thought I was getting sick of watching Transformers movies. I was just getting sick of watching Michael Bay movies because I watched Bumblebee and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like,
Bumblebee's good.
yeah, I'm like, he's just fucking up Transformers.
did he step away from Bumblebee, right? Like someone else did Bumblebee?
He was the producer on it, but somebody else directed.
Oh,
He
okay.
beat it or something.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I think this is such a shame to say out loud. but
Guillermo del Toro, that is the most dumbest fucking thing I've ever
The
seen.
most dumbest.
The most dumbest.
I can't swallow
It's
this.
so
Like,
dumb it made me use bad language. Next.
it's not right. John Carpenter. I mean, like Halloween, The Thing, right? These are big. But then, like, what else did he do? Does anybody else here know really what
Ghosts
he did?
of Mars. That movie
Do you
fucking
have to-
rules.
do you have to do anymore?
Right. That's right.
He did arguably one of the greatest movies of all time, Little Trouble in
Did he
Big
have-
Trouble in Little China.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Yeah, all
so
right.
fuck that guy. Fuck that man being on that list.
I think when I scrolled this list, he froze and I didn't see his face. 'cause
You know
there's
what?
Guy
Also,
Ritchie.
you know why he's so good, John Carpenter? Because he does the soundtracks for a lot of these movies.
That's
too.
true.
That's how awesome he is.
Big Trouble in Little China is a childhood movie for me, and I haven't really revisited it.
It's all in the reflexes.
Neil Blomkamp, there it is again.
I disagree again.
Yeah, I mean, District 9 is really a big
Elysium was
debut
really
for him.
good.
Well, okay, what are they saying after this here is if District 9, blah, 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 infamous, biggest examples of directors whose careers look at a downward spiral. There's no real
No,
backup
he just
here.
took a little bit of a step back from Hollywood, and he's doing more independent stuff. He was on a podcast with Rogan about a year ago explaining
Really?
this. Yes.
Oh, I need to watch that episode. I didn't know that existed. There's your Taika Waititi. That's a complete wrong statement. Taika Waititi's just getting stronger.
You know, and I don't like the fact that they're talking about him in there, but they use a picture from a movie that he acted in that he didn't direct.
Yeah, that leads the
Like, just because you didn't like his
again,
acting doesn't mean
yeah.
it had anything to do with his fucking directing. If you didn't like Free Guy.
I mean, Screen Rant, if you're listening, just,
Yeah.
stop slanting your journalism. M. Night Shyamalan, again, I think we all disagree. Like, they all, well,
No, we all agree.
we all agree that he dropped because nothing was as, yeah, you're right, sorry. And George Lucas, I think, is last on the list. And I think they're only comparing that to the
He's
fact
only
that
directed 4 movies, though.
that's unfair. Law of averages is not in his favor.
He's only done 4 movies. Let's look at the 4 movies, okay?
American Graffiti,
THX.
THX.
THX is great. American Graffiti's great.
Wasn't THX him and Spielberg and they're like, that was like their first? Or was it just Lucas?
It's just Lucas.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so you got THX 1138. You've got American Graffiti, which is great. You've got Star Wars: A New Hope, which is great. And the more I keep watching Phantom Menace, the more I actually like it.
Phantom Menace is very fun. It's different from what you know, but it's very fun. I don't like when people shit on the new trilogy.
I just don't like Jar Jar, and other than the whole introduction where you meet Jar Jar and they go to the Gungan City.
We've talked about
Everything except for that movie's amazing. So Bulba and the fucking pod racing, and let's be honest, the fucking Battle of the Fates at the end is so good.
Duel, but
Or Duel of Fates, sorry.
it's
Thank you.
okay.
I have been corrected.
I think I
try not to correct things today, so I didn't know we were doing that.
Always.
Rutger Hauer.
Is it Rutger?
Rutger.
Oh wow, that was
Yeah.
a while
I've been
ago.
holding on to that one for a while.
What was he saying? Rutger?
Rudiger Hauer.
Rutager! Rutabaga!
Sorry, I didn't know we were taking shots today.
Of course we are.
Do you feel better?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, good.
I can think of something else now.
When do we not take shots?
It's like when you're like you really need to like have a release and you just had a release and now you're like, yes, the power.
Okay, yeah,
Kelly
no.
Clarkson.
You're right about the least amount of films on this whole list. Like everybody else has got like 6+. He's got his 4. He just with Jar Jar. I think Jar Jar, with what we know about Star Wars and how the whole mechanics of Star Wars works, we had someone like Jar Jar.
Jar Jar was supposed to be the new R2.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it was just
And it failed.
Yeah, it failed. So he got muted in the second and the third hard, right? Like he was prevalent in the first one.
If you talk to people that are in their late 20s right now and you ask them about Jar Jar, they think Jar Jar's the shit.
He's
you want to know
making a
why?
resurgence.
No.
Why?
Because they were fucking 6 when that movie came out.
Yeah.
Oh, so they were
I was 18 when
yeah.
that movie came out.
They were marketed
So I was like,
too.
fuck this shit.
That's
right?
interesting. I never thought of it
Boom.
like that. Yeah.
My
No.
dad thought Ewoks were stupid,
I thought they're adorable.
right?
Yeah,
I
well,
thought
right.
they were fucking adorable. Why? I was 4 when that movie came out.
Would you sit next to a scale?
My dad was 36, right? It's all about perspective.
There's the bottom of the list. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen.
That's the bottom of the list. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. They make them quick, and
I would
don't-
have put Hitchcock on there. I would have put Tarantino on there. I would have put Spielberg on that list.
Tarantino's up and
I'm
down.
kidding.
Next on said
Tarantino
docket.
will do one where it's kind of like it's good, but you're like it's not like the other at the same like level of his other
Yeah.
ones. But then he comes out with another one. You're like, holy fuck!
Yeah.
When the director uses
Like he comes out with Kill Bill, and
he
you're
doesn't.
like, I don't care about the previous ones.
He's like up and down a bit, right? As opposed to like a steady slide.
yeah. No,
But that shows continuity because if you look at the law of averages from a graphical perspective, where's the mean line there?
he's getting mathematical on you.
Oh.
Yeah, I was judging by the median, not the mean.
You were looking for logarithmic.
Do the ends justify both?
No,
Okay.
the ends don't justify the median.
The shape always has to be a hyperbola with Mark.
Okay, let's move on to the second one here because we got to cover something just before we leave. We got a in memoriam to cover. So next on the docket, ladies and gentlemen, parents and kids on screen together. I really like when I see.
Do you want to
this
do the
happen.
list, or do you want to just we'll throw one out that we have?
We'll throw our takes out. We don't
Okay.
have the list is more or less for inspiration. If we cover
Okay.
it, great. If we don't, no big deal. Let me pull up mine. You know, Rob, you go first. On
Okay,
this
I'll
one.
start. So the subject behind this was, an ensemble in a movie where you've got either a mother or a father and then their child, right?
Yes.
So for me, it is Ben Stiller and Jerry Stiller in Zoolander. And
Oh, I forgot Jerry was in
and-
Zoolander. Yes.
Yeah,
Where
'cause
he's
you
couldn't turn
something
left.
what's his character's name? Something Balls from the Balls.
Yeah, he was
model
the
agent?
Balls
Balls
ad.
agent.
Yeah,
the balls agent.
he's so fucking. He's like, what do we do when we fall off the horse? I don't know. It's so fucking good.
When I found you, is he the one that uses Ambi Turner? Is the
Yeah,
first time
yeah.
he brings it up?
I'm not an amputator.
Well, and
You
you're
couldn't turn left.
you're right in that the easiest way to put it onto the screen is to have the mother, daughter, and son, right? Like
Yeah.
that's tradition. But like when the father's giving the son shit, but they're not related on screen.
And I love the
it's-
fact too, like that's a Ben Stiller. He wrote that, he directed it, he stars in it, and he's like, I wrote a role for my dad. He said his dad's so good in that shit.
I like seeing it because
Ari Balls, isn't that the character's name?
Oh,
It's
yes, I think
100%
it
Ari
is.
Balls.
Yeah.
It's just so much fun to see because you know that you assume that like
Kill the Malaysian Prime Minister.
acting with
Relax.
don't do it.
The movie's so good.
Orange mocha frappuccino. When you see two
Jitterbug.
people, when you see two people,
It's a dance off.
Billy Zane.
When you see two
Listen
people,
to your friend Billy Zane.
shush, fuck. When you see two people who don't know each other trying to act together, I mean, that would probably be hard enough. But now you got family, right? You got to get over shit. You've got preconceived notions of each other. I don't know.
But that's also why Stiller, I think, is who he is, right? Because
he was raised in a comedic family.
He was raised in this environment, and it's just, his dad just knew how to.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
And Jerry Stiller is funny.
Dude, he's fucking so good.
Man's ear.
He's
Right?
he's so good in Seinfeld. Yeah.
It
It is time to air the grievances.
the rules of Festivus dictates.
I love when he got frustrated all the time.
Serenity now. Anyway, so that's my pick.
That's a good one.
That's
That's a
Getter.
great pick. I went with the Sheen family
Oh, in Wall Street.
and some good old Wall Street.
Nice, that's a good one.
Martin and Charlie. Martin being the aging airplane mechanic. What is it? Blue steel.
No,
that's fucking.
but
Back
he's
to
but
Zoolander.
he's also the he's also the president of the union.
That's right, and that's how he gets them to flip so that he knows information for the inside trading deal with Michael Douglas. Watching them, that's a dramatic representation that I think comedy is a lot easier to get away with because there's not as like you're not playing as you're having more fun than you're trying to convey a serious situation. But the two of them on screen together, I just find it fun.
You just need a little Emilio in there.
You do, yeah, you do. There's still some Emilio.
No, we need some Emilio. That's what I'm saying.
Well, you got men at work for that, right? You got Charlie and Emilio on screen together for that.
Yeah,
I don't
but
think
only
all
Charlie
three of them
and Emilio.
did. I don't think if all three of them have ever done something.
I don't know. Google that
together.
right now.
I should have looked into this.
Wall
considering it's
Street's a
my pick.
great movie too.
Wall Street really is a really great movie. It's topical of the time of the wealth of the '80s, the stock market, the crash. That whole scene when Charlie Sheen walks in ready to give Michael Douglas's character cigars and tries to get the Anacott Steel. That's the name I'm trying to think of. That's the name of the stock that they trade.
Well, that's one of the.
That's one of the.
That's
yeah,
one of the.
that's not the
beginning.
name of the airline.
That's the
right?
beginning. The airline is something else.
Yeah.
Blue Star or something Star Airlines.
Blue Star. Yeah, I think it's Blue Star. I think you're right. But it's just fun to watch them play off of each other, and like basically Charlie Sheen's taking advantage of his father on screen as you watch it, right? Like that's something that could kind of play out into a real life situation. I feel so. Yeah, that was one of my first picks. Mark, who do you like watching celebrate their family heritage on screen?
You know what? I picked one of the ones from the list, and then I want to get an honorable mention to Pretty Cool.
Yeah.
So I picked, although it was a series, Eugene and Dan Levy.
This has to be. This is an honorable mention if it's not a top pick.
Yeah. I mean, Schitt's Creek was an unexpected success. Like, I never thought that somebody outside of Canada would even get the humor, and I don't think anybody thought that originally.
No.
And then it just exploded. And I think maybe like everybody knew Eugene Levy from like American Pie.
SCTV.
Well,
Well,
American
yeah,
Pie
sure.
probably
Okay.
exposed him to the American audience the most. Also exposed Jason B. But I think like Dan Levy really came out of nowhere and like took that thing on his back and made a huge. I think he was, in my opinion, was the reason that show blew up as big as it did.
He got to write and direct on it very early too. Like
Yeah.
Dad and Catherine O'Hara were, as I understand it, the reason why the show got picked up. Right, those are the
Yeah.
names. But eventually, Eugene, I think, pushed for Dan to be more front and center, and it changes. Like,
Yeah.
Shauna watched a lot of it. I would watch it in the background. I know it's so fun. Like, it's just a fun.
It's great, and their interplay together was great, and they seem like they were real father and son, but of course it's because they were.
Well, that and the fact that they also could play really well being
And his
annoyed.
daughter's in it too.
Yeah, she runs the restaurant,
Right? Yeah. So I mean, there you go.
The annoyance and the get off my back dad that he would bring to the character was like just watching Dan insult them, right? And really lean into that. Like,
I loved like the generational humor, like, you know, like the okay boomer kind of stuff that
very
Dan
much,
Levy, like,
yeah.
you know, how different the world is since your time and my time.
And even though they're like a super dysfunctional family, they find function in dysfunction.
Yes.
And you wouldn't have the brilliance if Eugene Levy's son was played by anybody else on that show who maybe auditioned for the role. And
No, that
didn't
was
get
good. It was great. And then my honorable mention on the list was, which I didn't realize, was the whole Thor: Love and Thunder thing. where all the kids of the village of New Ragnarok were all. It was Chris Hemsworth's
Yes,
son,
I knew that. Yeah.
Natalie Portman's son and daughter, Taika Waititi's kids, and Christian Bale's kids.
Oh, really?
So they said,
I didn't know it went
yeah,
that far.
he took like the kids there, and that all got the power of Thor, like in the end scene and stuff.
Yeah.
It was like you went to work with your kids, and you brought your kids to the set, and they were all in it. And that's a pretty cool parent kid thing. I never knew that till I read the story here.
Shauna figured it out because she was like, that girl is awfully, looks awfully similar to Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah,
and,
India Hemsworth.
and she has brown hair for the role. But then when you go look at him, she side by side, it's his offspring, without a doubt.
And then it goes deeper, and
It's kind of like a Judd Apatow thing, like how he has his daughters.
I was gonna say Maud and I think Maud and Lucy are their names.
And
like,
they said
this is 40 and
yeah.
Knocked Up. And
They said the set was like really cool. Like, it was like a family kind of thing because the kids were there and the parents and.
Well, and like if you are working 16-hour days and they can somehow insert kids into the role, I think your kids should probably be the ones who should be up first.
Yeah.
Instead of like finding some child actor.
Unless they're fugly.
Yeah. Well, you think Hollywood makes fugly children?
Yes.
Really? I've never.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Have you seen Adam Sandler's daughter?
I'm gonna Google it now. I also had Sage and Sylvester Stallone from Rocky 4 and Rocky 5, actually. Rocky 4 and Rocky 5.
And I'm being mean. She's not.
I know you are. And also Daylight too. They acted together. Sage and Sly.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, he was one of the prisoners in Daylight.
Oh, cool.
But the Rocky 5 where Rocky wants to pay more attention to Tommy Gunn than he wants to pay attention to his kid. And I know I appreciated that because my dad wanted to pay more attention to his business than he did his own child. So I gravitated more towards that. That was one from my youth.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like an honorable mention. I don't know. Like, I like it when it happens.
Are you allowed to air your daddy issues on
That's
the
my show.
podcast?
I can do whatever I want. I mean, they can skip. That's what the whole point of the skip button's for. End of grievances are over. Festivus is done.
Now for the feats of strength.
But like, as much as like you see Clint Eastwood's kid on screen. What is his name? Scott Eastwood. Thank you. And I just feel that like that looks more like that looks nepotism to me, where like Eugene and Dan Levy just look like it. It works. I think it's easier to take when.
Well, the two of them wrote the show together.
Yeah, right. When you know that, then you know that like everybody shared some heavy lifting. But like Clint Eastwood's kid just gets in on. I think because I've seen Scott Eastwood act in a few things, and he's just. Like, not out of a wet paper bag could he find his way.
I don't dislike Scott Eastwood.
I don't think he's that terrible.
Really?
No.
Fuck, man, you guys are both jumping on me today. I didn't like him in Wrath of Man. I didn't like him in what is it? The Curve, the basket. What is it? It's the baseball movie that he did. Wasn't he in with Justin Timberlake?
Didn't see it.
Okay. Trouble with the Curve. I think he was in that. I don't know. I didn't like him. Wasn't he in Suicide Squad too? Am I wrong about that?
Haven't seen it.
I don't know. He just has a face that I don't like.
DCEU sucks.
And I mean, on a whole entire industry.
Nothing. Holy.
What? Let me.
It's not great. It could be much better.
It totally could be. Fuck, it so could be.
And
I finally watched The Batman.
What'd you think?
It was good.
Like, it's very Seven, is it not?
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah. You're watching Batman be a detective for once.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. And Jeffrey Rush.
Well, that's his superpower. He's got two
Jeffrey Rush.
superpowers. World's greatest detective, and he's rich.
Yeah.
Everybody knows.
Everybody wants, and that's. I mean, what do you do when you're rich?
And he's tenacious as fuck.
He's also just so fucking moody. Did you like how he treated Alfred?
Yes.
Really?
No.
No. Andy Serkis's Alfred was hands down the second best Alfred to Michael Caine.
I almost kind of liked him more than Michael Caine in some respects.
Are you looking up Scott Eastwood's
I'm
IMDb?
Trying, but I'm failing.
Next
Maybe
next thing.
Next thing, yeah.
Yes.
Well, what's the date today, Rob?
November 11th.
Yeah, and what happened on November? What are we doing November 11th?
We remember.
Remember the 5th of November. No, that's V for Vendetta. Wrong.
You know what? I got mixed up with Scott Eastwood. Wrong person.
Oh, who'd you think it was?
Scott Caan.
Oh, I love Scott Caan.
Yeah.
Like the son of James Caan.
James Caan.
Is it Caan or Con?
It's Con.
What is it, Rutger?
Rudiger.
You know what's my favorite movie is the one with the Arquette brother.
the wrestling movie.
the rest.
yeah,
Ready to
the
Rumble.
family, yeah, that's
Ready to
good.
Rumble. That movie's so fucking
Kevin Nash is
awesome
in that. Lex
and bad.
Luger's in that. It's
Yeah.
so bad.
And I mean, I don't really like wrestling, but I don't know what it is about that stupid movie. It makes me laugh.
I believe that's the movie that turned David Arquette on to wanting to be a wrestler, and like
Yes.
he's
no,
done hard.
apparently he always liked wrestling. That's
Yeah,
why he did it.
But then did the movie, and then the movie was like,
Thank
I
you,
could
David
do this.
Arquette. I
Yeah.
couldn't remember
He
his
did
name.
I think he did the training for the movie and then spun that off and then actually
Yeah,
wrestled.
I heard something about that.
Yeah.
But you're right about what we're supposed to remember.
Remember how David Arquette, like the main reason he's famous is because he was
He's
like
Courtney.
married to Courtney Cox.
Yeah.
He's more famous for being married to Courtney Cox than for anything else he's done.
Well, no, he did stuff as a child actor too, but nothing big. But like his sister, his family, the Arquettes are all.
Let me rephrase that. He's more famous for being married to Courtney Cox than for
Than he is
anything
for
else
it.
he's done.
There we go. It is.
Name more than 5 movies he's done and don't count the Scream ones.
I don't want to do that right now. Okay, so Dewey.
Scream 1.
Dewey times
Fuck.
6. It
You
is.
can't handicap me like that.
It is November 11th, which means that this morning for 11 minutes we had a moment of silence for
Is
all
it-
of.
Is that how long the moment of silence is? 11 minutes?
Isn't it 11 minutes? Or
It's
is it
the
11
11th day of it's the 11th month of the 11th day of the 11th month at the 11th hour.
Yeah, I know that much. Is it not 11 minutes, or is it like
It
3
wasn't
minutes?
11 minutes. It was like 3 minutes.
Okay,
We
all right.
watched TV and did this.
Oh, you
moment of
saw.
silence.
You saw.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Or is it 1 minute and 11 seconds? Is this
Yeah, that would make the most sense.
I don't
Or
know.
11 minutes and 11 seconds.
1 hour, 11 minutes, and 11 seconds.
I don't know. Anyway.
Anyways,
Yes,
the
so
point
there's
is-
a moment of silence today for it's Veterans Day in the U.S.
Yeah, Veterans Day in the U.S., Remembrance Day in Canada. We remember those who fought for us and made all of this possible, that we could just sit here and talk about movies, because at one point there was a question whether anything was going to go forward, backwards, or get fucked. So I
Basically,
thought,
remember a bunch of dudes kicking Nazis' asses.
yeah, exactly. Glorious Bastards. Watch it. Not.
I
true.
heard a line this morning from a speech. I don't even know who was doing it because I was in the bathroom at the time.
Yeah.
And somebody was speaking at a Remembrance Day ceremony in Ottawa.
Okay.
And the line, I don't want to butcher it too bad, but it went something along like, when you ask yourself who's responsible for the things that you do.
Sure.
And he said, who's responsible for the protest at your university, or the protest at university, not the university organizer, the soldier. Like fighting for your right to have the freedom to do that.
Oh, they're going back
and he
to
named
yeah.
like long connections, and basically like some people that don't have that respect and don't have that remembrance and don't realize that their ability to disagree with the government came from fighting for your freedom to be able to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, I would never put that together either. Like,
Right?
there's some
'Cause-
things that you just don't draw a correlation.
Yeah.
Causation, but not correlation.
Like your ability to bitch at your current government and complain comes from the country fighting for their freedom so that somewhere wasn't telling you what to think.
Hear that, you fucking freedom convoy idiots? That said, the best way we know how to pay respect is through movies. So I just thought, like, World War II movies, let's talk about them for a minute, favorite ones. And obviously, let's get the elephant out of the room. Everybody agrees Saving Private Ryan is probably one of the best portrayals of what storming the beaches of Normandy might have been like. I dare say, I don't want to be like Guitar Hero's just like playing guitar.
I think that movie, and if you look at that list that you gave us of like
Yeah.
the top 50, it's pretty low on the list. I think it was like 29 or 30 or something.
Yeah.
And the movie as a whole is probably not the best World War II movie, but that opening sequence
Yes.
is probably one of the best sequences, period.
It falls into your standard war movie very quickly right after the opening sequence, but the opening sequence was shot in such a way with such care that it was like, if we can give you just a moment of what this must have felt like to drop these convoys and open up as soon as you open up the fucking door, you get shot. Like,
Yeah, the first 3 rows done.
you're just sandbags. You're human sandbags at that point. So it really shoots right up the middle and like shows you like this is what the PTSD.
There's that
of the
one
situation.
scene in that storming of the beach where there's like a guy and
Looking for his arm?
and his arm's been
I
blown off, and he's
remember it
looking
every
and he
time.
picks up his arm, and you're just like, Like, dude, sorry, man. Like, they don't come to do nothing.
Complete shock and awe,
Yeah.
and you're in the middle. You're being shot at. You're being blown up. It's just so.
It's like, and then like the background is just like your ears ringing, and you can't really hear anything.
Yeah, and
it's
it's
so cool.
25 fucking minutes
Yeah.
almost of just onslaught.
So I full disclosure, I've seen the scene. I've never watched the full movie,
Totally fine.
and I went through that list. I don't like war movies.
Really?
For whatever reason, I'm reading through it, and I'm like, I don't watch war movies. There's no attraction for me. I don't like war documentaries. I don't like
Interesting.
anything about I like Finding Hitler or something where they like track where maybe the Third Reich disappeared to after the war or something.
Antarctica.
And the stories of maybe like digging deeper into some things behind the war, but actual like fighting scenes, war movies like Dunkirk or something, it actually like there's no I won't.
What is it?
Don't
Did
wanna
you
watch
like? Did you like Dunkirk though?
it. Didn't watch it.
You should watch it.
There's
and-
no draw to those movies. For
Yeah,
me.
and I get it. I think the cool thing about Dunkirk, though, is you have to look at the context of the time dilation and the association between the three different stories that are being told and how the time dilates, but then they all line up based on.
They all
I don't
count down to one single moment to get off of to get out of where they're trapped. But it's from the perspective
plane-
of the
but the-
pilot.
But the plane is only from this length.
Yeah.
The guys that are on the boats is this length, and the guys that are walking is this length.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's kind of like it alludes to how fast that mode of transportation moves.
and the moment for them to experience it, right? Because if you're in a plane flying over Dunkirk, your experience is not the same as the soldier being blasted.
Okay. that's
It's almost
kinda
like
cool.
this, like too, like how long would the distance for you to cover take if you walked? It would take 3 days. So that portrayal is over 3 days.
Yeah.
How long would it take in a boat? It would take about a day. So that portrayal is over a boat. How long would that take you in a plane? It would take about an hour. So that whole sequence is actually only over an hour.
In a 2.5 hour movie, right? But I get it. Like, does it give?
It's Christopher Nolan. You know, there's gonna be some kind of time dilation perspective. In
He
that.
does like messing.
But
with
like
time.
for the sake of why? Like, what is it?
I don't know.
Is it that they're true? That
Do
they're
you
based
like
on
something like Inglourious Bastards though? That like
yeah,
takes
like
place
it takes
in
place
World War
during
II-
the
World War
wars.
Okay.
Like I've watched lots of movies like that.
So you like
Sure, that's what-
you like a World War II period movie.
Yeah.
but not.
Like I've seen
the
and not just
the Monuments Men, for example,
and that was an
It's
interesting.
funny.
One, yeah.
I was gonna just mention that one. Yeah.
right?
right movies that take place during.
Yeah.
Not, I mean, fucking Jojo Rabbit,
There we go.
right? Like in the backdrop of the war.
Heil Hitler. Heil Hitler.
Right.
Heil Hitler. Heil Hitler.
Yeah.
Heil Hitler.
Lots of things that take in the backdrop of another story. I don't think I want to hear the story of a soldier anymore.
Okay. You don't want Enemy at the Gates. You
No.
want
But then there's certain ones like
Billy
Like,
Lynn's
I-
Long Walk Home or something.
war movies are tough.
I like war movies where the Germans have American accents and the Russians have British accents.
Everybody who's not American can have an English accent and it's okay in movies.
Yeah.
You just accept it. Oh, there's this Russian guy, Yuri Tatarov. Good day, sir.
But at least there's continuity with the
Yeah.
with the accents.
Yes.
Right.
Aliens also have British accents. It's just I don't get it.
No,
But yeah, I don't. For whatever reason, I don't like war stuff. Some people just love war history, love war anything.
Sean's brother
Yeah.
Keith loves
Doesn't do it for me.
the documentaries on TV.
Like Band of
the-
Brothers, not even the remote interest of
Oh,
watching
it's
Band
so
of Brothers.
good.
It's so good. But it, you know what? It is.
I almost like the Pacific one. They're kind of.
I don't want to ruin Band of Brothers, but I know the Pacific is also
It's so
equally as good.
good.
Yeah.
You know why it's good? One of the main characters is the kid from Jurassic Park.
The little boy?
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah.
Like Timmy?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It
Mind blown. My one issue with Enemy at the Gates is Ron Perlman. His British accent sucks.
does. But watching him jump through the buildings and get shot midair.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And Ed Harris chasing
Jude Law.
Jude Law, thank you. I was going to say Mr. Ripley. Chasing Jude Law around. Where are they? Are they
Stalingrad.
Stalingrad. That's it. They're in Russia. And it's a sniper movie during World War II.
Yeah.
Like
See, but I think I've seen
and
that
it's
one
and
too.
it's not super violent in that respect. It doesn't have a lot of those.
It's very cat and mouse.
Exactly. It's like the two of them. It's like adjacent to the craziness that's actually going
Yes.
on.
I just don't like the war movies that it's like here's a bunch of dudes like infantry that are going to be in the field and
You don't
And
like the war experience.
Yeah, like even like Platoon, like it has memorable things. Or
What about the most accurate Navy SEAL movie ever made, Navy SEALs?
I haven't seen it.
You know, one thing I like about Enemy at the Gates, though, is I like that opening sequence where they basically go, okay, here's your partner. Only one gun for two men. When that man, if the guy with the gun dies, you pick up his gun and you go. And Jude Law doesn't have a gun, and he's basically behind the guy with the gun, and then that guy gets shot, he picks up the gun, and then he's just a fucking
There's a moment where he looks around like, where's a gun? I just want a gun. You fucking give me a single bolt action gun.
Yeah.
No, I can understand that because, like, okay, Full Metal Jacket, you've seen though, right? Yeah. Okay, and I mean those movies, like
But how many movies do we need to make about the war?
I think it's because it's such an impactful thing on a generation.
Yeah.
Right? And, if you take Vietnam, for instance, you had 50,000 Americans that died, and most Americans at least knew somebody or were friends with somebody who knew somebody that died, right? And then you looked at World War II and how big of an impact that had on society. Because war nowadays, like, the war can happen and our lives don't change.
Yeah.
Well, in World War II, they were like, okay, listen, motherfuckers, you can't buy pantyhose because we need the silk to make parachutes. There's not enough to go around, right?
And I like
we
that
need
story.
you to ration, right? You're only allowed this much sugar a month because we need it for the war effort.
I like that story.
And that's
you
the
don't want
difference.
blown up soldiers. You don't want you don't want downrange.
What about
I
the
don't
Great?
want, like,
What about the
in
Great Escape?
in the foxholes? And I don't.
trench warfare? You wouldn't.
Yeah,
enjoy
I'm
that.
not into that.
about the
I'm not
Great-
interested about. Oh, that's an F1 Panzer that's coming across the field, and
But you've
some people are so into like military hardware,
Have you
and
seen
I just.
Fury?
But
not
if we're
interested.
talking about Warhammer, you're like all the
Well, yeah,
different.
because
Have you seen Fury?
no,
Oh,
Have you seen The Great Escape?
maybe a long time ago.
Steve McQueen.
But I'm not. I think I watched a few
That's
war
a fun
movies
movie, though.
because wars. It wasn't just World War II either. I mean, I know this on Remembrance Day, and maybe it's because
No.
war was not a topic that I like.
Mm.
Like I watched as entertainment,
Mhm.
and there was lots of movies that were set during some war,
Mhm.
or lots of shows. Right?
Yeah.
Like I watched MASH. I watched
Mm-hmm.
Good Morning Vietnam. They're all are military backdrops.
Can you say "Good Morning Vietnam" the proper way, please?
I could, but I'm not going to. Good morning, Vietnam.
Vietnam.
It's hot and wet out there in the jungle. It's nice when you're with a woman, but not when
Nice.
But I think the seriousness of war, like those movies, I didn't like because war was a very serious thing, maybe.
Sure.
And it wasn't a subject of entertainment, and I don't know. It
I
just never interested me.
I understand that. And to say that if you don't like war movies, you're not remembering. You like war movies. You like war movies not about the experience of war,
Yeah.
but a story that took place during the war.
Like maybe
And
it's a little too intellectual. Like I like in a bad way. Like maybe I want the story of like the radio operator that was part of that squad and
Sure.
how he did what he did, but I don't want to watch two guys shoot each other across a field.
Have you ever seen Memphis Belle?
Yes.
That's a gooder.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, like something like that, where it's a story of a plane full of boys trying to get home from the war.
Yeah.
Very concentrated, but okay, I get it, and
Right?
that makes perfect.
So you
sense.
didn't. What about The Thin Red Line? It's got some
Yeah.
fight scenes,
No,
but
it's good.
it's
That's a good
more
movie.
about
That's
the,
Terrence Malick just pointing a camera and being like, "Well, this is the only footage we got left. Let's try to make a movie." That was a nightmare of a shoot.
As
about-
a whole, I
how
don't
about Wind
like,
Talkers?
I don't like
Nice,
big battle
nice.
scenes.
Bringing it home,
Adam Beach, baby.
Yeah, I don't like big battle scenes at all.
unless they take place.
Like I think Lord of the Rings, the worst
Unless it's Marvel.
no,
the
well,
worst part of Lord of the Rings is the giant battle scenes.
oh, I think look at him. He's shorting out right now.
That's
He's
literally
he's
Battle of the
he's-
Five
he's
Armies.
Literally
Yeah,
frozen.
but you love Infinity War and you love Endgame.
Someone needs to
And they
reboot
literally
Rob.
have giant
There's
battles.
one battle, like one or two big battle scenes.
There's one big battle scene in each of the fucking
Yeah,
Lord
but
of the Rings.
it has a purpose. It has a purpose. It's not about the battle. It's about the micro interactions
war.
within the battle.
What?
It is. You want to?
You're
you want
hurting my
wait?
brain right
Endgame. Endgame is about Cap being there with Thanos standing in front of him and hearing "on your left," and a portal opens and backup shows up. It's about them in the middle of a fight and Cap picks up Mjolnir, and it's not about the fight, but it's like he has been worthy all along. Like those are the things that I like about it, not the fighting, But it's just those
What
micro
about the Battle of
interactions.
Helm's Deep where they hold strong and then all of a sudden motherfucking Gandalf shows with the backup?
How about Hamburger Hill?
Nah. I'm not that movie's okay.
No, I get.
I don't
get
know.
You like the exposition of what's happening in a war, in a
Yes.
fight scene. You like you like them. You like Cap on your left. You
Or
don't-
give me the story of that one guy's experience in the world, and he happened to be like Forrest Gump. The war's like his experience in the war meeting Bubba, right? Like that's different because it's set in a backdrop, but it's not about the war. Maybe that's what I like.
There's 100 different ways to take your films and take your war movies, and that's to Rob's point too. Like the reason it's still around is because the boomers still need something to watch, and that speaks to them. That's their
That's
memory,
why World
right?
War II movies exist?
No, I'm just
No, the reason World War II movies exist is because it's such a monumental.
No, I that's the
Yeah.
joke.
It's one of the
um,
few things that encompass the world.
Everybody understands it. You
Right.
can watch it.
It
and
influenced
get
everyone.
Yeah.
It does have the word world in it.
Maybe I should. Maybe if there's movies that have this like a story of the war, I don't like to. Like some people just love sitting there and watching tanks shoot at each other,
Yeah.
shoot at planes, and that's not for me. But I want the story. I want that personal. It's like you said earlier, and you made a joke. I like movies that take place in one confined area.
Yeah.
It's because I like the personal stories more than I like the giant. What's happening? I
Do you like the movie Cube?
That's a very
I know the movie. I never watched it.
It's good.
yeah.
But it's that thing. I like the human story inside. Walking Dead. I love the like the season in the prison because it's
Yes.
contained.
So
It's more human stories.
So you like a movie that could also be a play in a theater?
Yes,
And
I
that's-
like that
and,
small
I mean, you
micro
like
interactions.
I know you like Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
He would like what is it?
I love those small interactions. I
You
don't know
Can't
why.
handle the truth. I can't remember the name of the title right now.
Oh,
A Few Good
Few Good Men,
Few
right?
Good Men, yeah.
War movie, also a play.
Yeah,
It's not a war movie. It's a military movie.
not a military movie.
It's about
It's a big
the-
difference. It's about Guantanamo Bay.
it's-
I have breakfast.
Know your
I don't
shit,
know how
please.
far. I have breakfast from 100,000 Cubans trained to kill me.
all right, Battle of the Fates.
Touche.
But that's what it is.
Yeah.
Take anything. Take Star Wars. I don't want to see like a fucking Imperial cruiser just shoot at a fucking X-wing. I want
to see it shoot at 20 X-wings.
I want to see what's taking
I
place.
want that animation. I
Right?
want that CGI to be hard.
I want I want the between the back and forth between fucking R2 and
I
Luke.
need B wings. I need Y wings. I need X wings.
You know, I
Yeah.
like the human story behind things.
Exposition, not
And when I feel I see a movie like Dunkirk, on the surface,
It actually
It-
has a very strong human message.
okay, but on the surface, it didn't look like it was.
It does. The thing is, though, is that it's a movie that you just gotta just trust based on who directed and wrote it that it's gonna be good,
Yeah, true.
and it's good.
I
So I would watch it because it does have motherfucking Kenneth Branagh in it, and it has Tom Hardy in it. And
I
that's all gotta
co-sign
say.
that too. It's a different experience. Like there's not a lot of it. It's the anxiety of being trapped. It's watching society. Like you will see people who had like little putt-putts go to the island and try to save them with just their
And in Dunkirk too, there's the way
not
the
the sequel,
soundtrack
but
is.
just the
There's beats or sounds that basically match up with a time dilation perspective between the three storylines. that
Oh,
are
that's
going on.
cool.
yeah. Like at this point, when you hear the sound, you know that everybody's experiencing this. Right at its
That's
moment.
cool. I see.
You know what I
get
found
that.
out? You know what's a cool thing about that too? You know in Interstellar, you know when they go into that one planet that has like the giant tsunamis
The
that goes
metronome,
around?
the metronome. That's
Every time it goes dun, dun, right? There's 1 year that passes for the guy that's up in the ship.
that's why when they show back up, he's like it's like 7 years later.
That's
and they
crazy,
lost all
right?
That time.
I read that and then when I rewatched the scene, I was like, holy fuck, holy fuck, holy fuck.
Nobody plays with time better than Nolan. I think that's
Yeah.
a fucking hard fact.
Time dilation.
Before we let you go, listener, it's a sad day for comic book fans. It's a sad day for animation fans. It's a sad day for Batman and DC fans in general. Kevin Conroy passed away within the last 24 hours. That I mean, we made the joke beforehand that our age discrepancy. Mark's Batman wasn't animated and mine is, but I think we all know for 30 years when you hear a character or you hear a voice actor narrate for a character for that long, like Mask of the Phantasm. I'm sure you've seen it being a comic book fan. and every Kevin, there's like 2 Kevin Smith films where he's in it. Like he was a voice actor among voice actors. The whole entire community's crushed about it. But I mean, like, do you remember Batman as a kid, Rob? The animated series?
Yeah, like in the early 90s.
Yeah,
I loved
yeah.
it. I think the biggest thing for me about that is if you look at all the cartoons of the 80s, anytime they shoot a gun, it's a laser, right? So if you look at the G.I. Joe cartoon,
Pew pew. Yeah.
they're all lasers, right? That was
Freaking
the first
lasers.
time where there was an animated cartoon where it was actually bullets, and you would actually see bullet casings coming out of a gun.
Yeah,
and those
DC
types of
always
things.
made better dark animation.
Well, it
than
just
most.
it was a jumping point where it just became a little bit more adult, but it was still so great, and they dove into those characters in a way that it actually it was more true to the comic book than anything prior to that with Batman.
Yeah.
And Mark Hamill was so good as the Joker, and they played on each of those main characters in Arkham and all that kind of good stuff, and it was just a great series.
It was, and it was fun.
What was it? 5 seasons they did? 6 seasons?
Man, did he play Batman in a lot of different shows?
Oh
Yeah.
tons.
Oh yeah,
Video games, all that kind of stuff. He kind of became the quintessential voice of Batman after that.
well, like who we met at Comic-Con for Mario, right? Like
Oh, yes.
you meet
I'm gonna win.
right, like you meet, but you meet the person who does the voice, and then it really doesn't sink in until you hear it. That
Yeah, it's like when Seth MacFarlane goes from Brian to Stewie to fucking Peter, and you're just like, fuck,
Yeah,
and like we'll sing a song.
that blows me away.
It's so amazing.
hang on here, I want to bring up his page too and just see some stuff. I just remember. I remember buying the Phantasm, but not knowing that I hadn't seen the film yet. I just bought the toy, and I've got her somewhere on one of these lamps. I think.
So from like 92 on, he
Yeah.
basically played the voice of Batman in animated.
Anyways, I bought the toy before I saw the Mask of the Phantasm, and then like I'm taking it apart, and I'm like, oh my god, it's a woman, and like totally ruined the movie for myself. Oh my, yeah, the Killing Joke. He was Batman. Like they go to him for everything essentially. Like it's impossible, and I mean it's just like his voice is so memorable, right? Like it strikes a tone. Like you get used to hearing a thing, or like nostalgia, I guess is what I'm getting at. It's one fucking hell of a drug. You hear him speak as Batman, and it just doesn't make sense if it's not him.
Well, it's like who's the actor who does the voice of Goliath and Gargoyles?
Oh, isn't he also the same guy who did like Transformers?
I don't know. He's got a great voice.
Yeah. Gargoyle voice actor. Oh, Keith David.
That's it.
Yeah. The dirty drug dealer from the end of Requiem for a Dream.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. But you've got having a voice like mine. I mean, I've been told.
It's like the guy that did Starscream
Yeah.
and Cobra Commander.
It just sticks with
It's the
you.
same voice.
That's what I just said.
It's the exact same voice.
I'm Cobra Commander. That's my pass at it. You're not wanting. Okay. Yeah. So rest in peace, Kevin Conroy. I mean, you won't be forgotten. I know. I'll probably
No.
watch some clips later and sit there and
I'm going to pay a little bit more attention when I hear those voices.
right. Like it just. Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, that's a way to end a show on a sad note, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for
People
tuning
die.
in.
People die.
People die, yeah, and it sucks even more when it's the ones you love. So that's a real talk. That's another episode of the Real Debaters for you, ladies and gentlemen. We've got potentially some stuff happening in December. Jimmy's responsible for that at the moment for potentially another live outing of the Real Debaters, which potentially could or could not be happening at Wee Johnny's. So when we get more information about that, we will let you know. These will be more condensed speed round debates, I think we were thinking, and instead of standing up there and pontificating as we normally do at a live
Short
event.
attention span.
Short attention spans. I'm learning that. I have one even shorter than I want to admit.
It'll be the ADHD of debates.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Speed dating, speed debating,
Mhm.
speed mass debating speedily.
Mhm.
That's not right in English. So that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. This is your first time listening to the show. Thank you so much. If you're a fan, we love you. Thank you again for putting up with our hilarity and brand of comedy that we know you've come to love. With that said, if this is your first time, listen to the end credit. It's right at the end of our theme song. It will tell you how to join the Debaterverse, how to follow Mark's comic collective. What is it, Mark?
String Bean Comics.
Yeah. What are you doing over there with that?
We're liking comics. We're buying them. We're selling them. We're just living the comic life. I think a group of friends that got together and all collected and sold to feed your own collection, and now it's turned into when you plug yourself into different networks and stuff. Like, kind of started doing some I don't know what you want to call it, like headhunting for things for people, right? Like I'm looking for a blank, and then you just happen to be out there and digging for things.
Are you the fixer of the comic book world?
Well, we're starting to sort of get into some of that kind of stuff.
I know a guy who can get you a hot X-Men pressing.
Right? Yeah, something like that.
Graded and perfectly in mint condition.
Yeah, it's just a love. It's cool being around comics, and nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
If you want to buy comics from Mark and Co., just head to the link in our bio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's where you can find the String Bean Comics tab, just like you can see the Ian and Diamond shit, just like you can see the Jimmy and Martin comedy. It's all there. We all have some sort of thing.
We all have lives outside of this.
We do, yeah. And because
don't.
Do you want us to throw a link to Samsung appliances?
yeah, we can do that.
No, it's fine.
Buy a TV from Rob sources.
Yeah, if you're in the market for something audio or video or appliance based, get
Head
it.
to
Rob.
Advance Winnipeg.
Yeah, there you go. Rob doesn't work there. Just say Rob sent you. With that said, yeah. So join the Debaterverse. Listen to the end credit. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I've been Michael Petrow.
I'm Rob Strachan.
Mark.
Bye. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies.
And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, another Real Debaters production is in the can. Thank you so much for listening. If this is your first, second, third, fifth, 20th time, thank you so much. But thank you to the first timers, the ones here who pressed play for the first time and took a gamble on us. If you like what you heard today, the easiest thing to support the show is just to subscribe. Hit the like button, the follow button, whatever's in your podcast player. Make it so that we're always there every Wednesday for you, okay? That would be huge. If you want to stay in touch with us, if you want to follow us, there's a couple ways to do that. We're on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. We're slowly migrating to YouTube by putting all of the things we've ever put on video onto that site. There's some surprises coming this year that happened a while ago, but I felt needed to be shared because they're part of the Debaterverse. So the YouTube page is coming. But if you want to follow us, it's at Real Debaters Pod on Twitter and Instagram. It's the Real Debaters Podcast on TikTok. All of the links, all of the one-click away things are in the show notes that you've just listened to. So if you want to follow us there, that would be great too, because then you get to stay in the know of all the things that we do and what we're going to try to do this year and what we've done in the past, so on and so forth. Yeah, so that's how you stay in touch with us. If you want to contact us, it's therealdebaters@gmail.com. All the spelling for all these things is REEL to keep with the title of the show. So you can send an email to us there, request an episode, want to call out one of us for being a goofball. There's places to do that as well, too. Like the Real Debaters website. You can email us, or you can go straight to the website, rate us some Podchaser, it's realdebaters.ca. And if you really, really liked what you heard and you want to support the show in some fashion that requires you spending money, well, we got a couple ways for you to do that as well, too. You can buy our merch at the Prop Shop. It's a store through Threadless, and it's online, and you can order stuff. We've got tons of stuff. We've got our Mass Debater wear there. It's our signature, original, and only line. It's our logo on everything. So you can support us that way. Go to the merch tab in the show notes, or if you just got $1 and you're like, hey, I want to give you $1 and donate it to your cause, there is a tab in the show notes as well, too, that says donate to the Debaterverse, I think. And if you click on that, it takes you to a donation page where you can donate like $1, $3, and $5, and you'll get something for your $1, $3, or $5. Any more than that's just ludicrous. Luda. So yeah, that's just kind of what I wanted to tell you. That what I said at the end of the show. This is what you should listen to because this is all about who we are, and now that we've gotten to where we are, we want to interact with you guys more. So these are the ways to do so. This is the way to stay in touch with us. Thank you to everybody again who's listened to the show. Again, you pressed play, you took a chance. That's cool. So. Without further ado, this is where I said I would talk more, so it's eggs on your face. No, I got nothing else for you. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week, and watch all them fucking movies. Bye-bye.